So, okay, so welcome everybody. Welcome to a social media marketing workshop. I'm going to share my screen just so you can start to see the timetable, and I'll do a little bit of housekeeping. So just in case you're not used to using Zoom in this way, when the screen is being shared like this, if it's a bit big and you'd rather see people's faces, you can grab the line that separates the sharing screen and people's faces and drag it across, so you can make it as large or as small as you want to do. There'll be a presentation up for the first sort of hour-ish, and then we've got some bits and pieces where we'll be talking and moving backwards and forwards between online and potentially breakout rooms, depending on how many people we get. But just if you want to make it smaller, you can do. I will obviously send the slides out as well afterwards to anybody that wants them, so don't feel like you have to frantically write anything down. A couple of other just sort of housekeeping points as well. So if you could keep your microphone muted if you're in a house that's got noise just when you're not speaking, so that it doesn't knock the microphone off and interrupt the sound, that would be good. If you need to go to the loo, obviously, just go. We have put in a break at 11:30 for about 15 minutes, so we will break then. We'll go and grab a cup of coffee and nip to the loo and things, and then we're going to finish at 1 o'clock. There are as well sort of sections scattered throughout that will leave time for questions and answers, but I have a tendency to just talk, and I talk quite quickly and I talk a lot. So if you do need me to slow down, repeat anything, if you have a specific question at that point that you'd like to ask, please just unmute and ask it. If you put it in the chat whilst I'm sharing screen, I probably won't see it. I tend not to notice it if it flashes up. So if you need me to halt or whatever, please do just shout at me. Let me just move my screen like this so I can see some more faces. So the schedule is this, that we're going to start off with the webinar that I did. So this is the one that I did at conference last year at the SIGBY virtual conference. It is about an hour. And it's looking at the main 5 types of social media, what makes a good post and what makes a poor post, with some tips for creating decent posts. We've then got a little bit of a presentation from Helen about safeguarding online, which I think she's going to give you some homework to take away. As I say, then we've got a break, 15 minutes. So there's time for questions and answers before that break. When we come back from the break, what we're going to do is have a look at either a social media post that you've done in the past for your club, or something that you've got coming up. So if you've got a program action coming up, or something that you're doing, an event or whatever that you're going to want to post on social media, we're going to have a little bit of a chat about that. I was going to put everybody into breakout rooms, but if there's only a few of us, we'll do it in this main session. But we'll have a look at what did you post, or what are you planning on posting, and then how can you make that better, and how can we use program action to grow our membership and to grow club awareness and linking with other organisations and all that sort of thing. We'll then do a little bit of a session on using membership to grow your social media following, and at that point, so the program action is very much using what we do to sell ourselves on social media. The membership bit is very much about utilising the people and why it matters, and how we can do that to attract more people, and some of the pain points that people might experience as to why they don't join Soroptimist and how we can overcome them. And then again, question and answer, and we should finish at 1 o'clock. That's the plan. Everybody okay? Everybody happy for us to get started? Marvelous. Okay, so just apologies as well. I've had a bit of a cough. It's not COVID. I've done a million tests. but I have had a bit of a cough for the last couple of weeks, so I think it's hay fever. So apologies if I'm coughing throughout. I should try and keep it to a minimum. But yeah, we're going to talk about using social media to benefit your club. And by benefit your club, we mean raise awareness of the things that you are doing, the program actions that you're doing, and also grow membership. Ultimately, you know, one of the main goals for Soroptimism is to grow our membership, and social media in recent years has become one of the best tools for doing that. So when we say benefit the club, it's about raising awareness, increasing the number of people that are following us, and ultimately increasing the number of people that are joining us. And we're going to look at 5 platforms that can help you do that. And we're going to look at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and then the left field one, which is TikTok. And I'm not going to go too much into TikTok because it is still a little bit of an unknown entity for quite a lot of us. As I said before, I'm still figuring TikTok out myself. And I certainly haven't posted from a Soroptimist point of view yet. I've mainly just posted videos of my cat. But we'll have a look at some of the ones other people have been doing, just to give us some ideas. The reason that TikTok matters as well is because it was the fastest growing social media platform last year, and I think the year before. And what happens when a social media platform comes in like that and disrupts the space is that all the other ones suddenly realize that, you know, this is the way forward, video is the way forward, and they start copying. And so what we've seen off the back of TikTok is that Instagram has introduced Reels, and now Facebook has introduced Reels. So I don't know if any of you saw the Facebook Live that I did, I think last Saturday with Shreya. If you want to watch that, it's on the Sigby Communications and Membership Facebook page. And if you go to media and then videos, it's in there. It's just a 30-minute video that we did talking about Reels and videos on Facebook and Instagram. And so it's important to understand what these newer platforms are doing, because the older ones start following them, basically. So it becomes important across all of the platforms. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how each platform works, what they want from us, and what makes a good post. So first of all, what is the point of social media? So social media is one of the most powerful tools that we've been given in recent years, but a lot of people misunderstand what it is and what it's for. So if you think about the reach that social media gives us nowadays, you know, we can put a post on our Facebook page or whatever, and it can reach several thousand people in the local community. And if you'd wanted to do that, if you'd wanted to get a message out to that many people, even kind of 10 years ago, you would have had to put an ad in the newspaper, or pay for an article, or pay for a radio advert, or something that would have cost probably upwards of about £1,000. Whereas we can now put a post on social media and it is broadcast to potentially hundreds of thousands of people, if not more, if you go viral. And that's a really, really powerful tool. But one of the main ways that people misunderstand it is that they think that social media is their platform. It's there for their personal use. It's their personal mouthpiece. And what we've got to remember is that these are private companies. You know, they are primarily interested in making money for themselves. Yes, they are providing a service free of charge for us, but because, you know, we have to play by their rules, we have to abide by the standards that they set. A lot of people, you'll see them, you know, bemoaning on social media saying, I can't say anything, I'm being censored and I'm being sanctioned. Well, you know, you're using a private company's platform for free. So yes, you're going to have to play by the rules that they want. And I think as long as we understand that sort of fundamental power imbalance at the heart of social media, you know, we can then it helps us understand how to use it and what it's for, and how to get the most out of it, rather than thinking it's our personal thing. But it is a really, really powerful tool, and if you use it correctly, you know, it can be really, really good. It lets the world know about Soroptimists. So one of the things that they always say about Soroptimism is that we're one of the world's best kept secrets. And I think a lot, you know, this is not unique to Soroptimism. A lot of organisations have been going through this sort of transition in recent years. I know the Masons have, and Rotary have, and even the WI, you know, they've been quite private organizations. You only really know about them if you join them. And so with this sort of advent of social media and the fact that everything's opening up, and the fact that these organizations are essentially, you know, membership organizations are declining and dying out. They've all been facing these same challenges. How do we open ourselves up? How do we get the message out there? How do we tell people what we're doing and what we're all about, and do it in a way that's engaging and upbeat and makes people want to come to us and want to join us? So these challenges that Soroptimism are facing are absolutely not unique to Soroptimism. And again, I think if you remember that in that sort of wider context, you can have a look as well at what are the WI doing, what the Mothers Union doing, you know, what are Rotary doing. I know in the SIGBA communications and membership group, there was a chat a few weeks ago about an advertising campaign that Rotary had done, and, you know, can we learn lessons from that? So again, it's about not thinking about Soroptimism in isolation and as this little sort of secret private thing. It's about opening it up and telling people what we're doing and how we're doing it and why we're doing it and all the rest of it. Enables us to reach potential new members, as we've already said, you know, a really, really powerful way of doing that. And I will talk a little bit more about why that matters. But again, if you think it's just down to that basic point of, you know, we talk about pain points in marketing and what's the pain point? And one of the pain points in growing the membership of Soroptimism is that walking into a room of women that you don't know is scary. And so what we are trying to do with our social media messaging and marketing all the time is tell women what we are about and who we are. Who are we as groups and who are we as women, and allow them to get to know us so that they feel that they can walk into that room and it not be scary. They already feel like they understand what we're doing and they know the people a little bit, and they might have had a conversation on Facebook. Sometimes they might have been following our club for years on the periphery and, you know, just liking the odd post and perhaps signing a petition and maybe coming down to a stall and buying something. And they'll be a sort of friend of the club, a follower for quite a long time before they're either in the right headspace or they've got the confidence, or, you know, their children have left home, whatever it might be, and they're ready to actually join. So it's all about building that relationship, making friendships, if you like, before they've even become a part of the club. And that's where social media can really shine. It allows us to do that, to keep that conversation going, again, in a way that previously wasn't really possible. So it allows us to reach more people, but it also allows us to reach, you know, potentially different people. If you think about, again, I know in the olden days of Soroptimism, you had to wait to be invited. And so it was certain women from certain standing in society, certain professions, what have you, whereas now social media allows us to open that conversation out and have it with women that previously might never have considered joining a membership organisation. It can also increase the impact of programme action. So, you know, obviously we do our programme action. We don't do it for glory. We do it to raise awareness, or we do it to raise money, whatever the end goal is. But if we can use social media as an amplification tool to get the message out further about what we're doing, we can make that programme action more impactful. So, you know, if you're after signatures, for example, on a petition, you know, if you went and stood in the market square, you might get 500. If you put that petition online, you might get 5,000. So you're increasing the reach. It also allows us to link in with other agencies. So, for example, if we're doing a programme action potentially with toilet twinning, or with UN Women, for example, we can post about it on social media. We can link in with those organisations. We can tag them in it. We can start a conversation with them, and they're aware of what we're doing. They become aware of Soroptimism, and again, then it increases the reach of that. So the fact that we're doing our little programme action here then gets amplified by the fact that these larger companies or these larger charities, whatever it might be, will pick that up and share it with their membership. So it enables us to, you know, we can raise more money, we can raise more awareness, we can just be a little bit more impactful with our programme action. I've already said improves the relationship with partner agencies, and this it is really important. Again, sometimes in the past we've done a program action, and the charity or the organisation that we've been doing the program action for potentially might not even find out about it until it's done. So, you know, in SI Rossendale, when I was in SI Rossendale, I'm now in an E-club, by the way. But when I was in SI Rossendale, we used to raise money for the hospice, local hospice. And they would only know that we were doing it when we turned up with the big check afterwards. Whereas now, because we can share that journey with them and that activity with them on social media, they can get on board a lot earlier. They can share it. They can help promote it. You know, again, they're aware of what we are doing as an organisation. So now, when you say to the people in the hospice, "Oh, I'm a Soroptimist," they know who you are and they know what you're doing, rather than just, you know, you turn up every 6 months with a check or whatever it might be. And social media increases the reach of our content. This is, you know, if you're creating any kind of content, if you're blogging, if you've done a flyer, if you know, we're going to be at the local carnival tomorrow, and we've got some flyers, so we can give those out. But again, we can put the pictures, the images, PDFs on social media and get that a little bit further. So, you know, again, any kind of content that you are creating, you put it on your website first, and then you use social media as a means of amplifying that channel. And again, it just gets our message out there a little bit more. And it creates engaged traffic and inquiries. So this is back to what I was saying before about somebody might follow you for months or years on social media, and then by the time they pick up the phone, or they come to a meeting, or they come to a program action, or they fill out the contact form on your website or whatever, they are aware of who you are. That they've probably, we call it the buyer journey, so they'll have come quite a long way down that buyer journey already, so that by the time they actually engage with you, they are ready. They know what Soroptimism is about. They like it. They've seen what you do. They're ready to get on board. You don't have to do a sort of hard sell. Whereas again, before, you'd invite somebody down, and then they'd probably come to 3 or 4 meetings, and then you'd have to go and meet with them for a coffee and answer any of the queries. And you still probably will do that process, but potentially not in as much of a salesman-y way, because they are further down that buyer journey. They're more engaged. They know what it's about already. So they're more likely to become members or follow us or work with us in some way. So lots of sort of benefits to social media. And people often think social media is quite a frivolous sort of thing and a bit of a waste of time, but I've genuinely seen it. I mean, as I say, we did it in SI Rossendale. I started doing the social media when I joined about 4 or 5 years ago, and there was nobody doing it really up until that point. And we got several members quite quickly. In fact, I think in 1 year we got about 6 new members. Well, first year of lockdown, we gained 6 new members, and then, you know, we had a sort of steady stream after that. And it does just show that there is benefit to social media. There's a direct sort of correlation that you can see as to how it benefits your club. And you might think it's just, oh, it's a waste of time, or it's an extra job, or it's just something else, or I don't understand it, blah blah blah. But you know, you can't break social media. So it's just about giving it a try and seeing what it does for you, and working out what the best way is of using it for you and your club. So we'll have a look at some of the specific channels. So Facebook, you know, is the biggest one. I think, you know, so many people are on Facebook. Most people have heard of Facebook, I think, now. So it's the original social media platform. I think it's been going for 16 years now. It has 1 billion plus users worldwide. I think that's gone up even more since I did these slides last year. You know, everybody's on Facebook. Everybody, you know, most people, sorry, are on Facebook. Potentially the very older generation and potentially the very younger generation are not. The kids tend to go somewhere else because their parents and their grandparents are on Facebook now, so it's not cool. So they will tend to go somewhere else, but they do tend to come to it eventually. So they'll reach a certain age and they'll start to come around to it. And one of the reasons that Facebook has stuck around for so long and does so well is because it is a little bit of a chameleon. So back to what I was saying before, you know, TikTok's come along. TikTok said, these 30-second videos are the future of social media. Facebook introduced Reels. Instagram came along and said it's all about images. Facebook introduced images. Before that, it was just text posts. So whatever the other social networks do, Facebook does, and it has a lot. If you look at your Facebook feed now, you've got stories, you've got images, videos, you know, there's everything in there. And you've got groups. You can scroll along your feed and just get to videos that you can watch, like YouTube. So it kind of encompasses all of those in one go. It's very easy to use. It's very simple. Everybody gets the same experience with it. I'm not saying it's brilliant. You know, there are massive issues with Facebook in terms of, you know, the content that it allows to be shared on its platform. There are privacy issues, but it survives because it is a chameleon. So because you can do almost anything on Facebook that you can do everywhere else, it remains one of the most popular ones and one of the ones with the most users and the most engagement. And honestly, it's where most people will go. For a lot of things that we're going to be sharing as Soroptimists, Facebook is the place to be. So it's where users go to relax, be entertained, and connect with friends and families. So, and I think this is really important to remember, especially if you're using social media in a sort of as a marketing tool. Nobody goes on Facebook to be sold to. You just don't. You go on Facebook to waste a bit of time, or to keep in touch with family that live far away, or to look at photos of your cousin's new baby or puppy or whatever. That, you know, that's the reason that people are on there. They're on there for their own purposes and to waste a little bit of time and to stay in touch with people. They're not going on there specifically to find causes or content even or whatever. So if we are posting as an organization with updates about things that we're doing and with you know, information about causes that we're working for, what have you, we've got to remember that we need to do it in a way that is suitable to the people that are using Facebook. So it's not about what we want to post and what we want to talk about and what we want to say. It's about thinking, okay, if I was just an average user of Facebook, how would I want this content to come to me? Why would I engage with this in a very, very busy feed that's constantly being updated with, you know, hundreds of people that, you know, posting stuff? What do I need this content to say, and how do I need it to come across to me? It's the place to go to build communities. So it's where, I mean, Facebook always says its end goal has always been to build communities. And I don't know if any of you remember, but a few years ago, Facebook, its whole thing was about building communities offline. It even did a television ad campaign about you build your community online and then you translate it into offline and you go and meet up and blah, blah, blah. It has given up on that bit now, on the offline bit. Because again, one of the things that you've got to remember about social media networks, they only make money off you if you are on their platform. So if you are on, you know, YouTube, Facebook doesn't make money off that. Facebook makes money if you're on Facebook because it's collecting your data, it's finding out information about you, selling that data onto other people, it's showing you adverts, all of the ways it makes money. But because of that, it wants you to stay there, and it wants you to be there, and it wants you to help keep other people there. So it's all about building those communities, keeping people talking, connecting people. If you help Facebook do that, it will reward you. So if you create a group, for example, and you get 400 or 500 people in that group, and you are posting content and people are coming to that group and they're talking and they're commenting and they're sharing information and they're posting as well, you are doing what Facebook needs you to do to help it make money. So it will reward you by showing your content to people. So basically, you've got to remember, you need to be there as long as you can, and you need to help other people be there as long as they can, and then Facebook gets what it wants. So in terms of how we use it as Soroptimism, Facebook is the best for sharing club news and for making connections. So anything that you have been doing, mainly from a people point of view, but also from a causes point of view. So any activity that you've been doing, if you've been doing a program action where you've been hosting a stall on a marketplace, or you've been in Asda swapping books or collecting money, whatever it might be, that's the sort of thing that you want to share on Facebook. It's about people. So you're sharing photographs, potentially videos. You're saying, this is what we were doing as Soroptimists. You know, this is a group of women. We went here, we did this. This is the reason why. and you're showing people all the time what you are doing as a club, what you are doing as an organisation of women, and then you are encouraging other people to talk back to you about that. So one thing to always remember about is about we call it call to action. So how are you going to get people to engage? So don't just say, we went to the Edenfield Fete and we ran a stall. You say something along the lines of, we went to an Edenfield Fete, we ran the stall, this was the reason we did it, this is how much money, you know, did you come down and see us? Have you got any ideas for how we can raise money next time? So it's all about keeping that engagement going. I call it the so what. So you did this, so what? And then what? How are you going to keep people entertained once you've said the main thing? So a few tips on what Facebook wants from you in terms of posting. When you look at the Facebook feed, it presents content according to relevance. So it prioritizes friends and family. And then, so it looks first of all for who are you and what are you posting about? And it will then show that content to people that you are connected to, who it thinks will be interested in the content that you are sharing. So why this matters as a content creator is people expect when they're posting to Facebook that their content is just going to be seen by everybody. I've created this post, it's got a great photo, I've put a really interesting bit of text, everybody should see this, and they won't. The only people who will see it are people who are connected to you, who Facebook thinks are going to be interested in that piece of content. So when you are creating your posts, it's important to remember that. One of the things people always say is that they get cross at other people and they say, oh, somebody said it to me the other day, actually, a guy who runs a local business. He said, you never like my posts on Facebook. And so I've never seen you post on Facebook. The Facebook algorithm has obviously decided I am not interested in your posts, so it just doesn't show them to me. So, you know, you can't get cross at people if they're not engaging. What you've got to do is think, okay, who's on my friends and family list who might be interested in this? And then how do I make it interesting to them? So what types of things are they going to be interested in? So, for example, if you have run a fete, maybe if you've run a stall, sorry, at a fete, raising, and you've done like a bric-a-brac stall, if you've got a lot of people on your friends list who you know are interested in antiques, maybe you talk about the antiques that were there on your stall, and you take some photos of those and you share that, so that you know then those people will see that, they'll be interested in it, they'll give it a like, they might ask you a question about something that you had on the stall. Because you've then got a little bit of engagement on those posts, Facebook goes, oh, some people are interested in this, we'll then show it to more people. So then it might show it to friends of their friends, or it might show it to more of your friends. And that's how you get the reach going. It's about finding that hook, creating something that you know people are going to be interested in, and then it will start sharing it to other people. It works very similarly in terms of the algorithm. If you post into groups or you post into pages. So pages, for example, if you've got a page for your club, only people who have liked your club page will see that content. But if you have a piece of content that suddenly lots of people are interested in, it will then go wider. So this happened to SI Garstang. I don't know if you're aware of this, but Karen Rainford was posting for SI Garstang, and she posted about the blister pack collection. Now, she just put a post up that said, we're collecting blister packs and we're recycling them at the TerraCycle recycling points. Now, for some reason, that post hit a nerve and it went viral. And I think she's had something like 500,000 likes and views and things on that post. The number of people who liked that Soroptimist page was up to 10,000 at one point. Now, how that happened is that page was shown to people who had that content, so it was shown to people who had liked that page. They responded positively to it. Facebook saw that lots of people who liked that page were engaging with it. So it then showed it to more people who liked similar pages. So people who were into recycling, or people who were into blister pack collections, or active, charity active work, that sort of thing. Facebook showed that post to those people. They were interested in it, and it has this snowball effect. So again, if you're thinking about how does that matter to you as a content creator, it's about finding that hook. What are people going to be interested in? How do I make this post interesting to people? And then it will be shown to more and more people. You can't just put a post up and assume everybody will see it straight away, because that's not how the algorithm works. Facebook prefers native content. So this is back to that point that I said before about Facebook only makes money off you. All of the social media networks only make money off you if you are on their platforms. So what it doesn't want you to do is create content elsewhere and then share that to the post and send people offline. So for example, if you'd written a blog post on your website and you shared that to Facebook with a link, you are sending people off Facebook in order to read that, and it doesn't necessarily like that. You can do it a few times. It doesn't mean you're not allowed to do that, because absolutely that's what social media is there for. It's there to share your content, but you can't do that in every single post. So essentially what you've got to do is create, for every one post that you are sending somebody offline, off that platform, create at least one post where you are keeping people on it. And that, you know, it means that you might just make a post where you ask a question and you're keeping people talking. One way around this quite a lot, I've been doing the ration challenge recently, and so I have to put my link on there that links to my donation page so that people can make a donation for it. So I don't put the link in the main comments, I put it in the comments below. So I'll say, this is, you know, day 6 of doing the ration challenge. This is what I've eaten today, blah, blah, blah. Link below if you want to sponsor me, and then the link goes in the comments. Facebook knows, you know, it's not stupid. It knows that there is still a link there, and that link is sending people offline, but it's just a little bit less of an obvious, I'm going to send people off your website in order to go and promote something that I want them to look at. So it's just about being a little bit subtle. But then for every post where I posted about, I put the link on, I created a post without the link, and I just said, here are some photos of what I've eaten today. No link, not sending anyone anywhere else. So I'm giving Facebook what it wants, but also getting what I want, basically. So the more you can create your content within the app, and the more you can keep people within the app, the better you will be rewarded. So again, if you're thinking about that in terms of posting for your club, you know, obviously we want to link into charities that we're working with. We want people to go and read our blogs. Maybe we've created a video on YouTube. We want people to go and watch it. Again, it's about balance. For every one, create one insight. Facebook will actively penalize content and users that go against its community standards. And it is one of the few platforms that does this, or does it so frequently. And I don't know if you've noticed recently, but a lot more people have been complaining about being put in Facebook jail. And the reason for that is because Facebook is the biggest platform. It is the one that is always hauled up before governments, in front of select committees and what have you. And Mark Zuckerberg seems to be constantly in Congress having to defend himself, because it's the biggest one. It's in the firing line. So it is the one that has to be really, really strict about its community standards and really, really be seen to be upholding those. Obviously, there's still massive issues with all of that. But anyway, it's trying, and that's the main thing. And because of that, it will penalise you. And so if you go against its community standards, rather than just not promoting your content, which is what other platforms will do, it will actively ban you, and it will say you're not allowed to post for 28 days or 48 hours or whatever it might be. So again, we're back to that point of, remember, you are utilising a company's platform for free. So you kind of have to follow their rules, basically. And the rules are not horrendous. You know, they're quite sensible. They're things like, you know, don't be offensive, don't be racist, sexist, homophobic, you know, obviously no paedophilia, anything like that. They're quite sensible. But it's just a case of being mindful about that. If you post anything that's sensitive, now, you know, obviously as Soroptimists, we're not going to post anything that is, you know, offensive or horrendous. I understand that, but sometimes you can be posting things that go against community standards without realizing. So for example, I know somebody posted a photo of a child victim of it was either war or famine, but basically it was a picture of a child in distress. Charities are victims of this all the time, because they have to post emotive content in order to get a response out of someone. But quite often, you know, pictures of naked children are not allowed to be shared on Facebook. especially pictures of children that are in distress or have blood on them or whatever. So just be really mindful when you are sharing content. You know, I know we're not allowed to be political anyway, but just make sure if you're sharing an image that it is appropriate and that you're not contravening the community standards. They publish them, you can find them, but really it's just common sense. If you do get penalised, even if it's accidental, even if you weren't really meaning to do it, it does damage your posting after that. So if your club page, for example, was penalised for something, for a good few months afterwards, your posts would be very closely monitored and they would perhaps not be shown to as many people. So, you know, people always say, don't they, it's better to ask for forgiveness afterwards or whatever. You know, in this case, it's not. You will suffer if you get a penalty. So just stay within the rules and think about it. Excuse me. Organic reach on social media is defined. Now, all the things that we're talking about here is organic posting. Basically, we're not paying for it. You can pay for posts. You can boost your post. You can do Facebook ads. We're not touching on that today. I mean, we can talk about it later in the session if you like. But organic reach has been going down across all platforms for some years. And the reason, again, is, you know, they've spent billions developing these platforms, basically, and they are allowing us as businesses, as organizations, to use them for free to get free marketing. And they're going to say at some point, actually, you know, you should give us some money for using our platform to grow your platform, which is fair enough. So what it does mean that organic reach is down, but that doesn't mean it's not worth doing. It just means that your posts will probably be seen by fewer people now than they would have been 3-4 years ago. But keep going. It's all about creating that content that's really engaging, that grabs people, that talks to them about something that they're interested in. If you are just constantly posting and saying, last Saturday we went here and we did this, this Saturday we're going to go here and we did this, last Saturday we did this and we raised money. You know, if you're just essentially providing a commentary and saying, we did this, we did this, we did this, but you're not engaging people, you're not really being diverse in your posts, you're not talking about different things, you're just saying, we did this and raised this much, we did this and raised this much. You know, probably those posts are not going to get picked up, they're not going to be seen as interesting. So again, it's about finding that hook, being interesting, finding the thing that's going to engage people, asking questions so that people have to give you an answer and have to engage and talk back to you. That's the thing. Otherwise, you will sort of, your post will not really get seen by anybody. And it prioritizes conversions over likes. Conversations over likes. Again, that's back to the thing we've just said. So you could get 5 likes on your post and 1 comment, and that will mean that post then probably won't get picked up and go very far. But if you've got 5 comments and 1 like, that post will get further. So it's all about getting people talking. Facebook wants you to keep people on the platform longer. The more they're talking, the more they're commenting, the longer they are on the platform. So engage people. This is why we say ask questions. But even once somebody's commented, see if you can keep that going. You know, oh, that's really interesting. Why do you think that? Or that's a great idea. I'll try that for next time. Have you got any more ideas? So keep the conversation going once somebody's engaged with you, because the more you do that, the better it will be. Also, the engagement buttons, the like, love, sad, whatever. Loves are better than likes. So if you can, again, use a bit of emotion in your posting, get somebody to respond with a love rather than a like, again, that gets that post a little bit further than just a like. So a couple of examples here of a poor and then a better social Facebook post. So this is one that's on a local Facebook page, local to me, that is. It is a really poor example. So as we said before, you know, the social platforms now, because they're trying to keep up with each other, they all favor what we call rich content. So that means they want a photo, or they want some sort of graphic, or they want a video. You know, just plain text posts don't really cut the mustard anymore. So this is poor because it's random, for one thing. I mean, it says how many folk on here have been glad of Morrison's staff posting that their lost bank card is safe and sound and waiting at the service desk. I mean, it makes no sense. It's random. It's got no picture. It's got no background information. There's no hashtag. Excuse me. it's just a really odd post, basically, and it's poor. And again, it's very passive. It is asking a question, but it's not an engaging sort of a question, really. So this, on the other hand, is a much better post. And this is a Soroptimist one. This is an SI Rossendale post. So here we've got a photo, and it's a nice bright photo at a sunny location. This is Carol, who knits these blankets for the Ethiopian Fistula Clinic. Now, one thing that Facebook, all social media posts love is faces. So they know that we as humans engage with other humans. So if you can get a photo with faces on, it's much better. So rather than just taking a picture of the blanket, if you're doing a program action where you've collected a load of toiletries, for example, or you've collected towels or something like that, or you're all at a stall, you know, rather than taking a photo of the thing that you've done or the things that you've collected, get photos of people. So have some people in the image, in the photo, potentially have some people standing around, smiling. The algorithms are programmed to pick up smiling faces. So have people smiling as much as you can, and as many people in the photo. And again, make it bright, make it funny. You know, there's all this thing in Soroptimism at the moment, isn't there, that we always have photos of women holding massive checks. You know, and we've got to move away from that. So try and do something a little bit different if you can with your photos. Maybe try and get some action shots. But certainly you want people in there, and you want people to be smiling as much as you can. In terms of the content, so we haven't actually asked a question in this one. So, you know, what would have been even better would have been if we'd said to people after, so we've said, check out this beautiful blanket, knitted with love by Rossendale Soroptimist Carol for the Women's Fistula Hospital in Ethiopia. What would have been better would have been if we put at the end of that, you know, have you knitted anything, or are you raising anything for the Fistula Clinic, or what knitting projects have you been doing recently, or have you been knitting those, what do we call them, those little support bears that Soroptimists have been knitting. So we could have asked people to contribute back, to engage with us by showing us their photos of knitting projects that they've done. But, you know, it's a really upbeat tone. We've got a hashtag in there. We've got a link to the actual Fistula Clinic, which is the one that we're raising money for. So we're raising awareness. We're tagging those people in it. Again, what would have been even better with that post was putting that link in the comments, so that, again, we're not obviously sending people off Facebook. But, you know, it's not bad. And it got some engagements, it got some comments, it got some loves as opposed to just likes, which is really good. So on the whole, it was a reasonable Facebook page. Anybody got any questions on Facebook before we move on to Twitter? I've just noticed what time it is, and we need to get a blinking wiggle on. So I'm gonna talk a little bit less and speed up. So Twitter is the lobbying network. So as opposed to Facebook, where Facebook is about building communities, talking to people who are in your community, who you already know, who are probably connected to you, Twitter is the one that is the broadcast platform. So Twitter is the one where you will be talking to potentially people who don't know you, who've never heard of you. You know, Twitter has fewer members than Facebook, and the number of members, people who use Twitter, has fluctuated over the years. And it went down quite considerably when Instagram came along and TikTok came along and things. And everybody panicked and said, oh, Twitter's dead, it's got no place. But Twitter is the only one that you will hear being talked about on the 10 o'clock news. You know, they'll say the president of America has tweeted this, or the prime minister's tweeted this, or such a body's died and some celebrities have tweeted this. The reason is that Twitter is the only one that can do that can get a post out beyond the immediate following of a person. So if it was done on Facebook and a celebrity said something, only the friends of that celebrity would see it. Whereas on Twitter, they say it and everybody sees it. The downside of that is that sometimes you feel like you're screaming into the void, because you can put a tweet out, and if it doesn't get picked up immediately, it goes by the wayside. A tweet has a lifespan of about 20 minutes. So if within 20 minutes of putting a tweet out, people haven't picked it up or responded to it, it's gone, and it's gone into the ether. So the vast majority of posts that you put out on Twitter will will behave like that. You know, only the odd few get picked up and get spread wider. But the potential is there. Once they do get picked up, they are spread far and wide. So Twitter is really good for Soroptimists for lobbying purposes. So whereas on Facebook, it's better for sharing information about, we went here, we did this, you know, here are some photos of us being active. Twitter is much more about spreading our awareness, or spreading news of who we are and what we're doing within official circles. So for example, we might tweet our local politician and say, you know, we're raising awareness of this. There was the campaign recently, wasn't there, about women in the criminal justice system and how victims of domestic abuse experience the criminal justice system. And I know there was a big Twitter campaign around that, where Soroptimists, clubs and individuals were tweeting their local politicians saying, local MPs saying, please will you pick this up as an issue? You know, women are not getting good experience in the criminal justice system. Please will you look at it? And there was quite a consistent lobbying campaign. So this is where Twitter really comes into its own. And SIGBI as an organisation do want clubs to get much better at using Twitter. They are encouraging every club to have a Twitter account, because essentially if SIGBI say, you know, this is a campaign that we're going to throw our weight behind now, and we're going to tweet the government that they need to look at this issue. And then, you know, 50 clubs also say, yes, we agree, please will you do that, from all over the federation. That has more weight than one tweet. So essentially it's about joining forces and joining voices and having that kind of a weight of a body to talk to people, to lobby, all the rest of it. So this is where Twitter really is best. It's for promoting causes, and it's about raising awareness within organisations. Again, you know, a lot of charities are on Twitter, a lot of businesses, a lot of larger organisations, government, all the rest of it, NHS, and they all are on Twitter. And if they see Soroptimists clubs, you know, tweeting, engaging in conversations, engaging in causes, again, it raises awareness of us as an organisation. It also raises our authority. So we're seen as a more serious, weighty organisation, rather than just, you know, we're a load of old women making cakes in church halls and, you know, doing that stuff. We're there, we're being noticed on the world stage, if you like. So it adds a little bit of gravitas and authority to us. So again, in terms of how the Twitter or algorithm works, presents content according to relevancy and engagement. So what it does here, it's not about who's connected to you, but it's about who does Twitter think is going to be interested in this content. So if you are posting, for example, about a petition, maybe it's a petition about menstrual equity, Twitter will say, okay, who else is interested in menstrual equity? Let's show this tweet in their feed. They don't have to be connected with you. So it could potentially go out to a lot of people who you've never even thought about. So again, with tweets, it's about thinking, what is the hook? How am I going to get people engaged in this? What's the interesting thing that I have to say? It's less about reporting what you've done, and it's more about shouting about things that you are interested in or engaged with. Again, it favours multimedia rich content, it calls it. So whereas Twitter used to just be those, what was it, 160 characters, you can put, now you've got longer, you've got more characters, but you've also got the ability to put images or infographics or little videos now even. Twitter also, like Facebook and LinkedIn, it has a lot of what it calls features within the platform. So you can run polls, you can ask people for engagement on things, you can even do little voice notes now. You can record a voice note and tweet that. So there's lots of different tools within the platform, but again, only makes money off you if you're on the platform and it wants you to keep people on there. So create what we call native content, use the platform to create it. And because they have a short lifespan, you need to be quite regular on Twitter. It's also, Twitter is one of the few platforms that the algorithm focuses on how much you use it. So if you only go on Twitter once a week to do one tweet, that tweet will hardly be seen by anybody. But if you are on Twitter maybe twice a day, you log on, you look at it in the morning, you check it in the evening, you're engaging with other people, you're reading other people's tweets, you're retweeting their tweets. When you then do a tweet, it will be seen by more people, because Twitter goes, actually, this is a person who's engaged in our platform. They obviously care. We'll put it out there, rather than you just pop on to try and say something. Again, they see that as you're just using them a bit as a broadcasting tool. So why should they help you? So if we're thinking about how are we going to use tweets or Twitter to promote our club, it's absolutely about thinking, what are the causes that we want to shout about? Who are the people that we want to connect with about this? And you can tag people, you can tag your local politician, you can tag charities, you can use their Twitter handles, but who do we want to see it? And then how are we going to get them interested? If we are talking about menstrual equity, you might think of a series of tweets potentially where you are highlighting some statistics about period poverty, how many girls miss school every month because of period poverty. And you might, over the course of a month, tweet certain your MP or whatever to say, here's another fact about menstrual period poverty, here's another fact about period poverty, here's what we're trying to do, we're trying to get free period products into every toilet, this is what we want you to do. Little short snappy messages that are sort of will form part of a larger campaign, but you're using Twitter as that means of broadcasting and lobbying. Here's an example of a bad one. I mean, this is quite a famous one, but essentially this is a brand, and a lot of brands are on Twitter, and some of them do it brilliantly and some of them do it really appallingly. But basically, this is a brand that was engaging in a Twitter campaign that was called #WhyIStayed, and it was about domestic violence, and it was lots of women sharing their stories about why they stayed in an abusive relationship when everybody says, well, she should have just left. And this was them saying, well, I couldn't leave because I had children, or because he had control of my bank account, or because I was frightened, or because I had nowhere to go. And this brand, this pizza brand, weighed in with, I stayed because he had pizza, which, I mean, is just so appalling, so off the mark. It's frightening. But also it's a poor tweet in that it hasn't got a picture. It's just a really short statement. It's not tagging anybody. So I think the thing with Twitter is, they always say, don't know what's the phrase, I'll read the room. But I think if you are going to use Twitter as a club and you're not used to it, watch it for a while, engage with it, follow other people, see how they tweet, see what they're doing, retweet some people that you think are interested, and then you can start to formulate your own tweets and talk about the things that you want to. Here's a really good Twitter, or a couple actually of really good Twitter posts. So this one, it's a sharing of an article, which again, I said before, they don't want you to send people off the platform, they want you to keep them on. But it's not, again, if you follow that rule as a one in, one out, that's okay. So you can still share articles and share content, but this is a good one because they've picked out a little bit of a statement from the article. It's got a good picture, again, somebody's face. It's not a happy face, but it's a face. And it's an article that's interesting, it's on point, and then they've got some hashtags on there. And then the other one as well, again, a human photo. And this is the thing when you talk about, Facebook is for activities and communities, and Twitter is just for lobbying or whatever. That doesn't mean you can't still share photos on Twitter of what you're doing. If you're using them for a purpose and for a cause, then it's great. And this is what this one has done. So they've shared a photo of an event that they were at, but they've said this was the reason. They've used the hashtag Soroptimist, they've used the hashtag domestic abuse and forced marriage. They've then got, they've added, so they've tagged the charity that they were working with. And they've got the information there about what they're talking about. So basically they've used a photo to say, this is the cause, this is what we've been talking about, this is who we've been working with, and these are the hashtags. So that post did get out to a few people and got shared a bit. So good. Any questions on Twitter? Okay. LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is a bit of an odd one, really. I have a love-hate relationship with LinkedIn. Well, I hate it, actually, so I have a hate relationship with LinkedIn. It's the business network. So where we think about, Facebook is for friends and family. Twitter is very much for organizations and charities and politicians. LinkedIn is where businesses come together, small to medium and larger enterprises. obviously we are a professional women's network, or we were once upon a time. So business women is one of our key demographics when we're thinking about who do we want to attract and who do we want to talk to. And a lot of them are now on LinkedIn. LinkedIn can be quite a sycophantic place. It's quite fake. It's where a lot of people just want to go on and talk about how amazing they are, really. So it's quite difficult to cut through that sometimes and find the sort of real messages with LinkedIn. But it is one of the best places for building credibility, for demonstrating knowledge, for sort of establishing ourselves as an authority on a certain thing. So on my LinkedIn profile for my business, I have the fact that I'm a Soroptimist. I've got hashtag Soroptimist in my bio. I link out to the club pages. I talk about things that we do as Soroptimists. And because of that, a lot of Soroptimists have connected with me. Quite a few people will contact me on LinkedIn and say, what is a Soroptimist? Why are you talking about SEO and Soroptimism? What are those things? So it starts a conversation. So if we're talking about, how might LinkedIn help as a club, it's less going to be a place for you to post about things that you've been doing and what you've been up to. And it's more going to be a place where you as an individual talk about Soroptimism, share your knowledge. If you're not on LinkedIn and you don't have a business and you've got no real interest in it, don't bother. And this is the same with all of these platforms. We're not saying that you should be, every club should be on every single platform. You shouldn't. Nobody has time for that. It's about figuring out what's going to be the best 1 or 2 channels for your club. Thinking about what's your club most interested, what's your club most trying to do. Are you trying to grow membership, or are you trying to grow awareness? What are the skill sets of the people doing social media in your club? And then you're probably going to pick 2, maybe 3 max channels that are going to work for you. And if LinkedIn isn't one of them, then fine, leave it. But if you have a lot of women in your club who are business owners or in the corporate world or whatever, and they're already on LinkedIn, then absolutely this might be a key channel for you. So as I've said, it's the best for industry experts, for demonstrating knowledge and for building credibility, but it is almost exclusively B2B. That doesn't mean, though, that people aren't on there still to be social. LinkedIn, although it's a business-to-business network, it's still a social media platform. People still go on LinkedIn to waste a bit of time or to nosy at what their colleagues are doing or what their competitors are doing or whatever. It's still social. So if you're thinking about what are we going to post on LinkedIn, it still needs to be interesting and engaging. It still needs to grab attention. You can't just put something boring out because you think, oh, this is a boring network, so we'll just do a really long, boring post about, I don't know, genital mutilation or whatever, forced genital mutilation or whatever, and make it really dry and, statistic heavy or whatever. It still won't work. You still need to put the human in there and make it interesting and make it engaging. But absolutely, this is where a tweet would be, a campaign on Twitter might potentially be a series of smaller tweets. So you might pick out, say, 5 statistics about FGM and tweet them over 5 days. LinkedIn might be where you pull all that together and you're almost doing a mini blog post. So you're going to do a slightly longer text post where you say, this month in, SI whatever, we're talking about FGM because here are 5 statistics that we've learned. Because of the way the LinkedIn algorithm works, so again, it prioritizes, I think that the thing about the timeline, what did you say? It's people talking about the things that you care about. It says at the top there, doesn't it? So it prioritizes it. It is by people who are connected to you, but it's also what are they going to be interested in. So, for example, when I post on LinkedIn, my content is mainly seen by other SEO experts, rather than if there's somebody I know, but they're a photographer, they probably aren't going to see my post because I mainly talk about SEO and that sort of stuff. So it's connection, but also how interested you're going to be in it. The other thing with LinkedIn is that relevancy trumps recency. So whereas we said a tweet has a lifespan of about 20 minutes, it's not picked up in that time, it's gone. Forget about it. Facebook, I've noticed recently, has been getting a little bit longer. So I've been seeing posts appearing in my Facebook feed that are sort of 3-4 days old even, which is quite new for Facebook, but it obviously thought I would be interested in it, so it drags it up. Whereas with LinkedIn, I can see posts that are 6, 7, 8 weeks old, because LinkedIn has decided, actually, I think you're going to be interested in this, so we'll pull it out. So when you're thinking about that in terms of, you know, what does that mean for you as a content creator? Don't think about the sort of immediacy. So Facebook is going to be very much, we went here today and we did this, here's a photo. Twitter, as I say, is going to be very much, you know, here are some interesting facts about this. This is what I want you to do about it. I want you to make a speech in Parliament or sign this petition or whatever. LinkedIn is going to be very much about giving that slightly more evergreen content, we call it. So make sure you're writing something detailed and interesting and giving those facts and figures, but it's still going to be relevant if it goes out, if somebody sees it in 6 weeks' time. It's not just about the here and now, what you're doing today, and it's old later down the line. So try and give them a little bit of a longer lifespan. Content should be tailored to focus on the causes and the program action. So again, LinkedIn is very much less about the people, more about the why. What are you doing and why? What's the cause you're trying to raise awareness about? And also it's still about, you know, how can people help? So remember, you're talking to business people, you're talking to, you know, corporations, potentially large charities, larger organizations. So what do you want from them? You're raising awareness of a cause, but what do you want them to do? Do you want them to sign a petition? Do you want them to share the post? You know, what do you need from them? And longer form content does work best. So you do have quite a large word count on LinkedIn. It changes, but I think you've got about 2,000 word limit on LinkedIn, which is, you know, obviously a long time. You don't need to hit that. It's not a target, but you can go into a lot more detail on LinkedIn. Whereas Facebook, you'd very much be, here's a photo and a little bit of info. Twitter, very much photo, 1, maybe 2 sentences. LinkedIn, you can almost do, as I say, a mini blog post, go into a bit more detail, discuss why. LinkedIn also has a lot of features. You can share slides, you can share PDFs, you can share obviously images and videos and all the rest of it. You can share presentations, PowerPoint presentations. So use them. You know, you can do a much more sort of meaty post. I've been doing slide decks on LinkedIn. You create 4 or 5 PDFs. Each PDF will have a fact or a figure on it, and then you can scroll through on that. So I'll say, you know, today I'm talking about, well, core web vitals mainly, nothing to do with Soroptimism, but here are 5 things about core web vitals, and they can slide through the graphics to make them a bit more interesting. So have a play around. Canva is the place where you can create those, then you upload them to LinkedIn, really easy peasy. And again, it's all about encouraging conversations. All of these ones are about encouraging conversations. The holy grail is people talking to you more. So the more you can do that, the better it will be. Here's a poor example of a LinkedIn post. So again, it's weird, you know, when someone asks you a question, count to 30 before you answer. It's very, very powerful, so I'm told. So A, he hasn't even tried it. B, he'd look like an absolute idiot if he started doing that. So it's just weird. It's people who try and look you know, esoteric and intelligent stuff on LinkedIn, and they're not. It's very sycophantic. It's a very strange place. You've got to sort of rise above that. But the other thing I think it's important about your LinkedIn profile is make sure what you do and who you are and what you stand for fits onto one line. So people put, I mean, he's put as his summary about who he is, here to add value. You know, what does that mean? What does he do? You know, so say I have on mine, I say I am an SEO expert and a Soroptimist. That's it. Really simple. Those are the 2 most important things to me. Make sure you say it really clearly. So here's an example of a really good LinkedIn post. Again, what we can see here, she's got a bespoke graphic that she's made. It's got a quote, really easily shareable. Somebody could download that graphic and it would work on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, you know, so it's a reusable graphic that somebody could take and share for themselves. So that's really good. She's got a really good, meaty description there. She's talked about what she's doing. So she's going to a conference. That's the thing she's advertising. I'm going to a conference. But then she's gone into detail about what the conference is for and why it matters and what issues they're going to be talking about. She's tagged some people in it so that she's talking about who she's going to be with. She's put a load of hashtags at the bottom. And again, what you can see about these hashtags, and we haven't got a lot of time to talk about hashtags today. I know people always ask about it, but the key is be as varied as you possibly can. You know, we always say, use the hashtag Soroptimist. And yes, we should be using Soroptimist, but only people who have heard of the Soroptimist will ever look for the hashtag Soroptimist. If we want to get out and talk to a wider audience, we need to use more varied hashtags. So here she's used, behind the lines, Soroptimist ones, but also she's got NGO, she's got female rivalry, behind family lines, she's got leadership, coaching, women helping women, all sorts of stuff, depending on who is looking for that type of content, those hashtags. She's reaching out to a very wide audience there. So I always say, use an obvious hashtag, but then use some less obvious ones that talk about, if you somebody is just looking for that type of content and they stumble across it and they go, oh, never heard of the Soroptimist, but let me see what they're doing because I'm interested in this topic. And again, it helps LinkedIn show that content, where LinkedIn says it will show it to people who you might not necessarily know, but we think they're going to be interested in your content. If you've used a wide range of hashtags, it knows to show that content to those types of people. So again, just be a little bit more detailed, essentially, with LinkedIn. That's the key. Any questions on LinkedIn before we move on to Insta? No? Okay. So Instagram is the photo sharing network. That's what it was set up to do. It obviously, Facebook then jumped on. Facebook bought Instagram out, but Facebook made Facebook made Facebook more about photos. Twitter then made Twitter more about photos. So Instagram really set the pace here. But Instagram is a very, very stylized place. So it's quite, the audience is fairly young. It tends to be more women than men. It tends to be women in the kind of 20s and 30s. Obviously, that's our key target demographic. If we want to grow and survive as an organization, that's who we need to target. They're on Instagram. But the key with Instagram, it's very much about getting the aesthetic right, basically. Photos are very stylized. They're very staged. They're often quite sort of idealistic in terms of body image and lifestyle and things that they're showing. So it's quite a fake place, a little bit like LinkedIn. So there are now profiles that are cutting through that. There's a lot of women fighting back against this sort of trend of Instagram, because I don't know if you saw, there was a report that came out, I think last year, about how Instagram is fundamentally damaging young girls' mental health. And I know Dove are doing a campaign against that at the moment. And I think a lot of content creators on Instagram are now realizing this and are hitting back. So there are a lot of women doing body positivity stuff, a lot of women doing, makeup free selfies and all the rest of it. So there is a space there to be, I hate it's a buzzword, but authentic on Instagram. But I think it's about remembering that the images that do best are those ones that sort of meet those aesthetics and look beautiful and look correct and all the rest of it. You can share videos as well, though. It doesn't have to just be images. Instagram is the place where you will find influencers. And so again, if we're thinking about, what type of content to post, Instagram is very image focused, obviously. So you can really only post on there if you've got a photo of something to share. It does also still like photos of people more than photos of things. So again, if you've done a collection of something, just have a person standing behind the table or a person carrying it. Again, try and make your photos a little bit more engaging and upbeat. There is a Facebook Live, again, on the SIGB membership Facebook page that we did, I think it was in May. about how to take more interesting photos, particularly with a view to using Instagram. So I'm not going to go into that too much here, but you can go and watch that back anytime. It's on YouTube as well, SIGBA YouTube. But, you know, try and get them, make them a little bit more interesting, a little bit more upbeat, not just always somebody standing behind a table that's piled high with toiletries or tampons or whatever. So it's the best for finding influencers, and it's the best for, again, connecting the people. So you know, again, we have got a lot of our target audience potentially are on Instagram. How are we going to talk to them? What are we going to talk about? The things that they are interested in tend to be the sort of campaigns about environmentalism, period poverty, FGM, you know, the things that are in the news at the moment that are quite common. So how are you going to use what you've done as a club to get some photos that you've potentially done of some program action, to get that onto Instagram and connect with people? Again, it's less about we did this, and it's more about, look at what we're doing, would you like to come and do it with us? So if you've done a collection of tampons, for example, to tackle period poverty, don't just say, here's a table full of tampons that we collected. You say, we've just collected this and we're going to collect so much more, you know, would you like to come and help us? Again, get that conversation going, ask those questions, get people talking. I've said that really, but again, hashtags are important on Instagram. A bit like LinkedIn, you can have quite a few hashtags. So again, think about them, be varied, be a little bit inventive in them. It does, the hashtags help your posts get a bigger reach on Instagram as well. And again, same thing. So share interesting, varied images. You can have a play around with filters on Instagram. You tend to create the content natively, so in the app itself. So it gives you the option of trying these different filters. So again, you know, just have a play around and see what works, and keep the questions going all the time in your content. So here's an example of a poor Instagram post. It's poor because that photo is quite frankly disgusting. I mean, beans in themselves are not overly pretty, but even so, if that photo had a slightly nicer tone to it, or didn't look like it had bits of toast in it or whatever, it would be all right, but it's quite a disgusting photo, quite off-putting. And then the actual content itself, the text, it's a bit random. They're trying to sell trainers, but they've posted a photo of beans, and it doesn't really make sense. No hashtags or anything. Whereas this is a really good Instagram post. So again, we've got a fact, we've got a good graphic that can be shared. It could be, somebody could take that, save it to the phone, share it on Facebook, Twitter, wherever. So it's a really good graphic that they've used. Photo of a human smiling at the camera, that's always the holy grail. They've used hashtags, relevant hashtags as well, and a couple of different ones, and there's some more down on the right hand side there. And then again, they've got a good bit of information there that's the main body of the text. So they've said, you know, this is what we're doing, this is the cause, this is what we're raising awareness of. They've used some more hashtags. They've put a link in there. Again, they could have put that in the comments, they've put it in the main blurb, but that's fine. But they've linked out to the organization that's involved, and they've tagged other organizations as well. So it's a really good example of, you know, putting a fact and figure out there, but saying, actually, this is what we're doing, this is how we're raising awareness, this is where we want you to go and what we want you to do, and here are the people that we're working with. So it's doing all of the things that social media should do, really. Any questions on Insta? I'm conscious of time, so I'm just going to really, really quickly look at TikTok. So as I said, it is the left field network. It's the biggest growing network of the last 2 years, and it is huge. It was downloaded more than any other website last year, which is phenomenal. That's like billions and billions of downloads. It's all about videos. 30 seconds, most videos are on TikTok. And as I said before, now, because TikTok are doing this and they've become so popular, both Instagram and Facebook have developed Reels. So they have got 30-second videos on their platforms as well. So this short, snappy video medium is really popular now, and it's only going to get bigger and going to grow. So if you can get on board with it and try it, it will. You know, the thing with all these social platforms is the sooner you do it, the sooner you jump on the bandwagon before everybody else does it, the more chance your content has of getting out there. So there is a woman, I'll show you a TikTok in a minute. She started doing it right when the platform first started, as Soroptimist, and her videos get loads of likes because she was one of the first ones. But anyway, 59% of users are female on TikTok, and that's actually growing. That is, as the platform gets bigger, the percentage of women is getting bigger. And also they are quite young people on TikTok. So again, if we're thinking about our target demographic, younger women in their teens, 20s and 30s, they are on TikTok. That's where they are. And mainly because TikTok is full of these sort of dancing videos, people copying dances and doing them in their own style. You know, my niece is 10, she's on TikTok constant. She's a dancer anyway, but she's constantly doing dances on TikTok. And that's where they are. That's the type of content they're looking at. Not saying we all have to get up and dance, but you know, if we can create some interesting videos, they really will do well. This is the example. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to go to TikTok and show you the actual video that I found that is of this woman. Oh, hang on. Why isn't this working?
Good morning. Soroptimist means best for women. This morning, I will be presenting this grassroots organization to a group of German ladies who are living in Dubai for years. And I hope that they will benefit from this and may possibly join the organization which is based in Dubai. Good morning.
So I hope you heard that, but essentially that was the woman. She's done quite a few videos like that, and she is just talking about, I'm going to go here this morning. She shares from the point of view of her, you know, she is filming at the camera. She's usually out and about while she's doing it, and she's just saying, you know, I'm a Soroptimist, I'm on my way to go and do this, and we're going to talk about X, Y, and Z. So it's really simple. Hang on, this has been very silly this morning. Just bear with. Get back to. There we go. So yeah, as I say, it doesn't have to be dancing. You can absolutely pick up on a dance and do a silly dance. That's absolutely fine. But also, you can just film some short videos. So if you are filming it yourself, if you're doing the social media, you could do a very quick video. You know, here we are, we're doing this program action today, or we're in Asda, we're collecting for such and such thing. Or you could do a little compilation video where you ask members to say, or you can hold the camera and film people. And again, all of this is just done on a phone. But very quickly, you could say, just wave, you know, let's go around the room, everybody wave, or everybody introduce yourself, or say why you're here today, or why you became a Soroptimist. You know, there are lots and lots of different ways that you can do this that don't have to be cringeworthy. And again, it's just about trying it and practicing. As I said, I haven't done it yet for the Soroptimist. I've been practicing making these little videos by just filming my cat and my rabbit and my pony, basically, and just practicing putting music on and putting text over the top and editing it down and just doing it that way. So nobody's going to be great at this straight away. It is just a case of trying, practicing, getting better as you go. And absolutely, you know, if you've got a young teenager around who can show you how to do it, even better, because they just understand this, it's native to them. So very quickly, I've got some general posting tips. I have been through most of these, so I am just really going to whiz through these because I will send you the slides, and I don't want us to run too much over time. But It's social media, so really be upbeat and interesting. Don't bore the pants off people, because they won't. Their feeds are busy, they will scroll past. So the more engaging and upbeat you can be, the better. Post, tell the human stories, and we'll talk about this a little bit more when we come on to the membership thing, but focus on the people, and rather than just saying, you know, again, rather than objects or things, events, you know, focus on the people. Connect to a theme. So again, always remember the why and the so what. So we are here doing this today. So what? What's the cause? Why are you doing it? What are you trying to achieve? How can people help? So always do that. Ask yourself, so what? Go that step further. Again, we'll come back to that in a little bit. Use hashtags as much as you can, varied. Use multimedia photos, so videos, photographs, infographics. Use Canva. Just create some really quick ones. They don't have to be massively professional, but the more you do it, the better you'll be. Don't just talk internally. As Soroptimists, we are really, really good at just talking to ourselves. And we have to make sure when we're talking about things that we are appealing to a wider audience. So don't use jargon. If we talk about program action and PA and UK PAC and all this malarkey, if you're not a Soroptimist, it means nothing to you. So try and remember that we need to use inclusive, open language and not be just excluding people in the language that we use. And be responsive. You know, if somebody takes the time to comment on your post, it's really important that you acknowledge that. Just give it a like, and then, as I say, keep that conversation going if you can. That's great. Thanks for your feedback. You know, why do you think that? Or what would you have done differently? Or what do you suggest we do next time? Or have you got any other ideas, whatever it might be? Remember that these platforms are there as personal businesses. So they're not your personal sales channels. If you can create posts natively, so use the platforms to create them and keep people within that ecosystem. Don't assume everybody will see your posts, because they just, if they haven't seen it, if people aren't responding, they haven't seen it because the algorithms haven't shown it to them. So it means there's something wrong with the way that you're doing the post, you know, that you're not making them interesting enough, you're not using interesting photos, you're not using upbeat language. So if people aren't responding, change what you're doing and try different things, and then you'll see your reach should get better. Post often and repeat messages. This is a really, you don't want to bang on about the same thing umpteen times. But again, if you think people's feeds are busy, and, you know, if you put a post out at 7 o'clock in the morning and they're not checking social media until they've put the kids to bed at 7 o'clock at night, they probably will not see that post. So if it really is important, if you're talking about an event that you're doing potentially, or a campaign that you're running, post about it several times at different times of the day. Use different images, different text, you know, make it varied, but keep repeating that message if it's important. And basically, don't be afraid. You cannot break these systems. If you create something that somebody isn't really interested in, they will just scroll past. They won't fall out with you. So, you know, it's all about trying, getting better, looking at your statistics, your insights, your analytics stuff, see how many people are liking things and what time of day and whatever, and use that information to get better. Also ask people, you know, when you meet people at events or whatever, ask them, do you see our stuff on Facebook? Or, you know, if you engage with it, do you like it? So learn and adapt all the time, and the more you do it, the better at it you will be. Have we got any questions? That was a lot of
I would just like to say how excellent it's been. In actual fact, I'm overpowered by all the information you've given me, really. And in a way, perhaps it might have been better if we'd taken perhaps 2 of the points and taken a slower range to it. But I found it absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed it. And I hope I can learn from it. I'm a bit old, but I think I'll have a go.
No, well, no, you're not too old. Nobody's ever too old for social media. That's the thing. And I think if the pandemic has taught us anything, it's that everybody can get on social media and can use it. Yeah. But we've got more to come yet. So
I'm
yeah,
looking
so
forward to that.
yeah, so I mean, that's it. You're absolutely right. This is the thing. There's an awful lot there to throw at you in 1 hour, which is why, I mean, we have recorded it, but I will also send you the slides as well, so that you can look back on them in your own time. But absolutely, it's a lot of information to take in. It is. What we're going to do now then is we've got, Helen, we've got your presentation first, haven't we? Before we break things.
Yeah, I was going to say we can quickly do that and then have a break.
Yeah, so Helen's going to just do a presentation about safeguarding, then we'll have 15 minutes, and then when we come back, what we're going to do is look at a campaign, a social media campaign that you've either done or that you are thinking of doing, or a program action that you've done or thinking of doing, and we're going to have a conversation about how best to promote that on social media. So what would be the best platform? What would be the best way of getting the information across? How might we pick that out? What hashtags might we use? So have a think about, you know, if there is either a program action or a social media post that you've done in the past, or if there's one that you've got coming up that you'd like us to look at. And we'll do that. I think we can probably do that all in one group, can't we? I don't
Yeah, sure we can.
break up necessarily. Okay, let me just share my screen then, and then I can do your slides. Oh, I don't know what this banner at the bottom. Sorry, let me just stop sharing a minute. It's a nightmare, this. Let's do it this way.
Brilliant.
Sorry, it's been a real pain in the neck today. It's not happy with me at all. No, that's not the one I want. I want this one. I want this one.
That's the right presentation.
That's the right one. And I just want it to start from here. There we go.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Thanks, Rachel. I literally got 4 slides here to show you, because it's I just wanted to highlight to you that the SIGB safeguarding officer, and I'm our regional safeguarding officer, and we have a forum. So each of the regions has a safeguarding officer too, and we have a chief safeguarding officer, and I've forgotten, called Annette, and I can't remember what Annette's surname is, but she's incredibly knowledgeable, and she's encouraged us to get a lot of stuff together. And one of the things that I wanted to share with you, and what I'm going to do, is to send you and all the other clubs the actual full presentation. This is about keeping safe on social media. So we're obviously being encouraged to use it, and that's fantastic, but there are things that you need to be aware of, both to keep yourself safe and also to keep the organizations that you work with. If you can move on to the next slide. Now, the question is, why do you need to be safe on social media? Well, Rachel's given us an idea to start with. Information is power, and there's a massive amount of information out there. And what information are you freely giving to the world? So it's about stopping and thinking. With whatever you're doing, you're putting a massive amount of information out there. We want to promote our work, but we want to do it safely. We want to promote the organisations that we support, but we want to do that by helping them stay safe. We want to promote our clubs, but we also, in the process, want to make sure that everybody within those clubs is safe. And we're doing good works. We want to promote those on social media, but we want to make sure that we don't make the people who are vulnerable that we're supporting even more vulnerable by us promoting them. So there are things that we need to think about how we do that promotion. if you can move on to the next slide, Rachel. Thank you. So this is about our responsibility. The amount of knowledge online about an individual person is enormous. It probably surpasses what your closest friends and your family even know about you, if you think about the different areas that you touch with the information that's out there about you. And social media and the amount of information out there allows hackers to easily gain personal information without them even having to work to hack a profile to do it. So it's about us being responsible and thinking about how we promote it. Just those things, that little things we need to do in the process of putting the photos together, putting the words together, that we just need to be careful that we're not advertising, promoting locations, for example. I mean, it's fairly obvious. If you're supporting if you're supporting a refuge, then you don't want to promote the location of where that refuge is. Then you probably won't do a photo of it, but it's just that thought. Yeah. Are you going to be doing photos of places and being concerned about locations? Who's going to be in those pictures? Do we need to make sure that there are some people who aren't included in the pictures? If you can just go on to the next slide for me, Rachel. So these are just the beginnings of some top tips. As I say, the presentation which I'm going to send to you has a huge amount, well, it's got a lot more very practical advice in it. Things like this about check who's in the photo, check location settings are off when you take that photo. If you're concerned about making sure that nobody knows where that location is, check there's no personal information showing. There is also some other information on the right hand side here that tells you how to keep your smartphones and your tablets safe. They're really helpful, smartphones, especially if you want to do, taking photos on your phone. You can easily post straight away off your phone, but that means there's even more stuff on your phone if you lose it. So you need to think about how you're keeping your smartphone safe, as well as all of that safety stuff that you would automatically be doing with your laptops and the other things you've got at home. So that's just an idea of what's included in the presentation that the safeguarding group have put together. What I'm going to be doing is emailing it out to you and to all the clubs. And what I would suggest you do is that you go through the presentation, perhaps at one of your meetings, or you share it with your members, and then perhaps have a chat about it at a meeting afterwards, however you want to do it. It's a presentation which is fairly self-explanatory, so you can work through it. Individuals can work through it, but actually it's really quite important. The concepts in it are quite important that everybody understands and knows them. So even if you do get members to do it, to go through it individually, I would suggest you then have a chat about it at a club meeting sometime to see if anybody's come up with any questions, and also to make sure you share the main points of it so everybody understands them. Okay? So there's some really good stuff. It's a smashing presentation. It's really easy to go through, and it's got some really valuable and important tips to pick up. So that's for a bit of homework after our session. That's all.
How long does it last, Helen? Please?
Now that's a very good question, Eslyn, and I'm not sure I can tell you that.
It's quite a few slides on the full one, isn't there?
Yeah. I'll work it out for you, Eslyn, and I'll include that when I send it round.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Just as a sort of tip on this as well, I mean, what we've got, because a lot of stuff obviously is shared on social media now. General rule of thumb, if it's children, especially if they're not your own children, you know, don't share that. But what we tend to do now, if we're doing any kind of event, we have a poster that we put up on the door on the way in that says we are likely to be taking photographs and videos during this session. So if you don't want to be you know, featured on social media, either tell us or make sure you stay out of the way, basically. And we put that at the front of everything, because you just never know, you know, somebody could be running away from an abusive relationship, and you know, you put a photo on of several women at a fair, and you get somebody in the background, and you just don't know. So it is really important to be mindful of yourself and safeguard yourself, but also, if you know, we're working potentially with sensitive, you know, vulnerable women, sorry, it's mindful that we're sensitive at times. So that's one of the things. And I've got, if anyone wants that, it's just a document on Canva. So I'm happy to, again, share that out if people would like a copy of that.
That would be great, Rachel, if you could. Thank you.
No problem. Right. Anybody got any questions before we have a quick 15-minute break? Okie dokie. Right. So, well, it's almost 1:45, isn't it? So if we are back here for 12 o'clock, and we'll get cracking straight away at 12 o'clock. We'll do, as I say, we won't break out sessions. We'll have a conversation here, and then we'll go into some sort of hints and tips on how we can do some better posting. Then we've got a membership bit, and then we are finishing at 1. So we've got an hour left.
Okay.
Marvelous.
Brilliant.
See them.
Thanks, Rachel. See you soon.
Oh, just as well, I'll leave the recording going. So obviously, if you're going to be doing anything in the background you don't want anyone to know about, just turn your volume in your camera. Hello? Hello.
Hello again.
Hello.
You've mentioned Canva several times.
Yes.
It probably would be useful to let us know what Canva is, and then we can share the link for it or whatever.
Okay. I'll show you. I'll do a quick screen share and show you mine.
That would be lovely.
Yeah, it's great, Canva. It's a lifesaver because I'm not good at you know, Photoshop or Adobe or any of those really complicated ones. Yeah. They're really hard. They're supposed to be sort of easy and for ordinary people to use, and I find them really confusing, whereas Canva is just so easy. It's a bit of a lifesaver, really. Are we most of us back? I think we're just waiting for Karen and Adrienne, potentially.
I'm here.
You're here. There we go. I think most people are back then. So I will quickly, Helen's just asked, for those that missed it, if we can just have a quick look at what Canva is, if anyone hasn't used it. So, excuse me. Canva is a completely free graphic design suite, for want of a better way of putting it. So you can create a free account with Canva. Most of the elements that you can use in it will be free. And, you know, you can, by elements, I mean images, text, all the rest of it. There are certain bits of it that you can pay for. They call them pro elements. So you have to just be a little bit careful. I mean, we have a paid account because we use it for work, but it does say before you use anything, whether or not it's a free or a paid version, if you use accidentally a paid element, and when you go to download it, it will say you've used a paid element, so you can go back and change it. So don't panic about if you accidentally use a paid element. They're never very much. They're only like, you know, sort of 99p if you do use anything. But essentially, you come onto this dashboard now. As you can see, we use this for excuse me, everything to do with our business. I use it, the Baker Business Association is something I'm involved in, but the Soroptimist here is one of the things that we use. So you basically, you tell it what size of thing you want to create. So you say, I would like to create an Instagram post, or I'd like to create a Facebook cover, or whatever it might be. And then you can just create them yourself really, really easily. So whereas, you know, this is really good for Twitter, LinkedIn, a little bit on Facebook as well. But if you didn't have a photo and you wanted to create a graphic, they're really good at this. You just go to sort of elements. You can create a frame. You can put in, it has photos that you can use. If you don't have one, you can have moving elements, and you literally just sort of drag them across, put them in. You can change the size, you can change the text. It's really, really easy to use. It does, obviously, it takes a little bit of practice, and I'm not going to give you a full tutorial now, but with a little bit of practice, you can create some really good graphics really easily. So we use them particularly on the SI Libertas, which is my e-club now. We use that to create graphics that we use on LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter, and just pick out some statistics, put it on the frame here. You can change the background color. All of these, you can move this around, put it in a different place. You can change the font that the text is in, and basically you can't break it. So it's the same as, you know, social media and things. It's just a case of having a practice and having a play around and see what you can achieve with it. And the more you use it, the easier it becomes, the quicker it becomes. And then when you're ready, you can just download it to your laptop, and then you can upload it to Facebook or wherever. When we talk about, when I talk about creating content natively, so i.e. using it in the app, you're still doing that with Canva. So you're going to create a graphic in Canva, and then you would download it. Then you would go to Facebook, open Facebook up. So for example, let me just show you the process of that. So say this is page 25. I want to download page 25. So I would go download, you click what number you want. So I want page 25. Sorry, I have to move this around. I want it as a JPEG, because that's the best one for sharing on social media. And then I download. Give it a name. So that's now shared it. That's now saved it to my laptop. I would then go to Facebook. I would find my SI Libertas page. Create post, and now it's going to say I want to add a photo here, and I click there, and now it takes me to my images, my documents in my thing. So I click on that. That now uploads the image, and then I can start writing my text. So, you know, today we're talking about whatever it is, and then I would put in a couple of hashtags. I might tag somebody in it, and then I can post it, which I'm not going to do because obviously that's a made-up piece of post. But I've created that post. Then that's a native post. I've created that natively within the platform base.
Fantastic.
Excuse me, what's it called again?
It's called Canva, Canva.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you sign up with your email address and create an account, like I said, completely free. And you absolutely can't break it. So don't be frightened of it. Just have a play around, create some different posts. What you can also do with this, and this is a really good way, so you can share posts with people as well. So as opposed to, I could download it or I could share this. So if I wanted to work on this with somebody else in my club, I could get the link, email it to them. They could then log into my Canva or see it in their Canva if they've got an account, and they can edit it. So we can work on it together before we finalize it and download it. So it's quite a handy sort of sharing tool as well. If you've got
that's great, Rachel. Am I right in assuming that you could start with a picture of your own and play around with that?
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
Is it literally?
Yeah. So if I just go back and I'll create one. So let's say I wanted to do an Instagram post here. So it brings up a blank one, and you can do it with photos as well. So what this is really good for, what I like doing with it, is if you've got if you've had an event, for example, and you've got several photos from it, you can put them all on one slide. So you would go to grids, they call it. So you'd go to grids and you'd say, I want to create one with maybe 4 images on it.
Right. Yep.
Then I would go to upload. So I can download. This is one I was working on last night because I was doing some slide. I did an extra slide for this presentation. So I downloaded these from the Sigby Facebook page. So I went onto Sigby's Facebook page, went onto images, downloaded these to my laptop. Then I uploaded them to Canva. And again, you literally just drag them across.
Oh, fantastic.
So you can create one graphic then with all 4 bits in it. And same, you know, if you had photos, we've got photos of events potentially that we've been at. So here's some photos of the Grow Traffic team. I could create a post by, again, just dragging them over.
Fantastic.
Putting them on like that. So yeah, it's really, really easy. And I say the more you do it, the more you'll, you know, figure it out. But it's nowhere near as complicated as you know, Adobe Photoshop or anything like that. It's really, really basic. Really.
It looks doable. Thanks, Rachel.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's okay. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to have just sort of 10-15 minutes. As I say, we were going to do this as breakout sessions, but because there's only a few of us, we'll do it all in one go. But what I would like you all to do is think about a program action, and we'll have a conversation about this now, but either a recent one that you've done within the club and that you did a social media post about, or a program action that you've got coming up that you're going to be doing, maybe an event or a petition, something like that. And we're going to look at how did you or how will you promote it on social media? Which platforms do we think are going to be the best ones to use? What media, so what photos or videos did we or could we use? What hashtags potentially? Can we tag anybody in it? Can we link in with anybody? And then how can we make it better? So I was going to say, you know, we'll nominate a spokesman to feedback, but we're going to have sort of a 30-minute discussion, or maybe slightly less than 30 minutes because we've gone a bit over on the first session, but sort of 15-20 minutes maybe, and just talk about posts that we've done and can we make them better. And if you want, I can go on to, if this is something that you have done on Facebook, I can go on to Facebook obviously and we can have a look at it together and see. So has anybody got one? Has anybody got one that they've done recently, or we can have a look at or anything? Or does anyone want to kick us off with a program action that they've recently done?
I have one. Our club had a climate change conference as part of our 60th anniversary, and I'm not on Facebook, but one of our members, she wasn't at the conference, but she's on Facebook, and she put it on the advertised it on the Facebook page. Unfortunately, we didn't have any pictures to go with it, but and we were going to have somebody doing Twitter and Instagram, but unfortunately they were unable to attend as well, so we didn't get very far. But we have the person who's our club Facebook expert often posts things, and she gets quite a number of likes.
Okay. What's your club, Jackie? Let's have a look at your...
Slough, Windsor and Maidenhead.
Say again, what was the first word, sorry?
Slough, Windsor and Maidenhead.
Spell for me, please.
S-L-O-U-G-H.
Yes, sorry.
U-G-H, S-L-O-U-G-H. And Maidenhead.
Yes.
It Windsor's next. Now you put you managed to put a W in it. Oh, have you found it?
Yes. Buy and sell, yes. Is it? No.
Yeah, no, I've put a W in every time. Let's see if we can find you and we'll have a look. The thing with the Facebook search is sometimes if you put SI, it reads it as C, you know, Italian, yes. So let's try Soroptimist.
In your search, it's Slough, Windsor and Maidenhead.
Okay. I mean, really, it should be finding it off that, shouldn't it?
I know. I was thinking, but
Maidenhead, let's have a look.
Facebook search.
There we go, it's found it. It's found it, it's found it. Okay, so I mean, I can see here, so this is a good example of sharing content from other content creators. We call this OPC, other people's content, and this is a really good, these are really good sort of filler posts, if you like. They don't tend to get a lot of engagement, and as you can see, this one hasn't been picked up. The reason for that is because it's sending people off. So again, when we said before, you know, it's about finding that balance. For every one post that you do where you're sending somebody off the platform, you need to do at least one post where you're keeping people on. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't share them. I mean, on SI Libertas, we quite often share articles that are relevant, and they don't get picked up very much. But as much as anything, it's about showing that you are keeping up to date with things, that you're on top of, you know, issues pertaining to women's rights and the things that the Soroptimists are interested in. So it is important that that content goes on there. Usually sharing sort of articles and things, yes, you put them on Facebook, but they might have been more appropriate to go on potentially LinkedIn or Twitter, because Twitter is very much about, as we said before, about issues rather than people. LinkedIn also is about talking about issues and things that are in the news. So that could have been tweeted. And I know you said you don't have somebody potentially that's on Twitter very often, but we were with an article like that, I would put it on Facebook, but without much of a comment, just a sort of background. But then I would tweet it, and I would say, you know, we're really Soroptimists are really happy to see that England's had appointed an ambassador for women's health. Potentially as well, you could say that because women's health is so often ignored or neglected or whatever. Then on LinkedIn, I might have done a longer post about that, where I talked about, I shared that article, and I went into a bit more detail about how women's health issues are very often ignored by GPs or misdiagnosed, so that women's problems go on for so much longer because, you know, they don't get taken seriously, or they're often dismissed as being hormonal or whatever it might be. So it's using that article as a base, essentially, to start a wider conversation about the issue rather than just sharing it. But let's see if we can find your this is a good one, this here, this post here. So you see this post got 4 shares, 4 shares and 8 people commented, which I know, you know, again, these aren't massive numbers, but if you think back to what I was saying about organic reach is going down, so actually getting a few shares and a few likes is good. It's we have to lower our expectations. Excuse me. But what I like about this post is that this is lots of photos of people being active and smiling. You know, this is perfect type of content for Facebook, because we've got the people smiling, we've got them doing something. This is showing, you know, a potential member. This is the sort of thing that the Soroptimists get up to. You know, if you like gardening, if you like being outside, if you like friendship, this is what we do. We get together and we do these sorts of things. And they're really, really nice photos, you know, as I say, people smiling at the camera. So that's a good example. What would have made this one better, potentially, would be if we had maybe a little bit more. So we've said what it is, President Margaret with Jackie, Jean and Sally doing our bit for the Jubilee in Windsor. Beautiful statue of Her Majesty with her beloved corgis getting a scrub. So that's good. It's a really upbeat, and it's saying, you know, this is what we did, and it was for the Jubilee. What we could have done there is done potentially some hashtags. So we could have hashtagged Jubilee weekend, we could have hashtagged Soroptimist, we could have hashtagged maybe women volunteering or volunteering in the community, that sort of thing. We could also have asked a question on the end that said something along the lines of what have you been doing to prepare for the Jubilee weekend, or you know, what's been happening in your local community, or what community projects have you been getting involved in. So again, asking a question, because at the moment, because we haven't asked a question, we've just very much said this is what we did. we've not
Yeah.
really given anybody the opportunity to comment or to, to start that conversation. Again, it's all about conversation. So it's a great post, but again, could have potentially have been a little bit better.
Yeah.
Let's see. That's a nice one as well. I like that, with the cake and a lovely, again, smiling faces. This is a really nice way of doing that. This is an example, actually. So this one, this image was shared very, very widely, not just amongst Soroptimists, but amongst a lot of women's organisations. It got an awful lot of engagement, and this is a really good example. We call this newsjacking. That's the technical term for it. That's when you see a post suddenly, or an image or a cause or something starts to get quite a lot of engagement and people are talking about it. Absolutely share it to yours as well. Don't just like it. Share it to your page, share it then to your personal profiles as well, if you so wish, because again, it's adding to that conversation. But if it's something that people are already talking about, that post will have been getting quite a lot of traction. It will have been seen by a lot of people, and what that does from a human perspective, it shows again that Soroptimists are engaged in the political situation, and we're aware of what's happening to women around the world, all that stuff, but also from an algorithmic point of view. So the algorithms will pick up and they'll go, oh, this page is interested in women's issues and women's rights and things that are happening in the world around that. So when we're back to that thing of, it will show your content to people who it thinks are also interested in that type of content. It uses all of this background information to work that out. So it will be getting a picture that Soroptimist International, Slough, Windsor and Maidenhead, they're interested in women's issues and women's rights and human rights and equality and all that stuff. So it will then show your content to people who it also knows are interested in that sort of stuff. And again, that's how it builds that picture of relevancy and authority and stuff. So it's great. Sometimes people think that, oh, I've seen that everywhere, or everybody's been sharing that, I don't need to do it. But actually, it's still worth just putting it on your page. Even here, it got 5 likes, it got 2 shares. That's really quite a good engagement for something that was doing the rounds and was everywhere. So it all helps and it all goes towards building that picture, basically. I'm getting distracted, aren't I? Let me see if we can find. Oh, here we go. Is this it? Your Diamond Anniversary Conference?
Yes, yeah. This was the dinner. This wasn't the conference. I don't know what. Actually, come to think of it, the Facebook lady, was not at the conference because she had COVID, but she came to the dinner. So I may have.
That's okay, but I mean, this is, again, it's a nice post. You've got people. Again, this is what Facebook is for. Facebook is about showing the community aspects about things. So, excuse me, you're building that picture all the time of, this is what we do as Soroptimists. Again, thinking the biggest barrier that women are going to face is the being a bit scared to walk into a room of people that they don't know and stand up and say, yeah, I want to join you, I want to be part of it. Especially nowadays, people are a lot I don't want to say it's not shy or timid or anything, but people, once upon a time, if you were, and this goes for buying a product or joining a membership organization or whatever, people would be quite happy to get a little bit of information and then either pick up the phone or come to an event to get the rest of the information. So they'd say, oh, I'm a bit interested in that. I'll pop down to a meeting, or I'll pick the phone up and I'll have a chat about something. The way people buy has changed over the last few years, or 10 years, and the internet has been very much responsible for that. So whereas before, if you were engaging something, you didn't necessarily need to know about it. You knew you had to have a conversation to get all the information. Nowadays, people are much more likely to try and get as much information as they can before they take that purchase action. So, for example, they'll look online and they'll get answers to their questions, and they'll want to know practical things like, well, how often do they meet and where do they meet? and you know, what times do they meet and how much is it going to cost. And they do that because people think if they pick the phone up or they go to a meeting, they're going to be put into a sort of high pressured sales situation, and I don't want to be backed into a corner, and I want to have time to think about it. People under the age of 45 in particular buy in this way now. So what they will do is they won't pick up the phone or they won't come to a meeting until they've got all the information they need about where you meet and how you meet and how much it's going to cost and what it's like and all the rest of it. So the more you can provide this information, whether it's on your website or your Facebook page or your LinkedIn or your Google My Business card, all of these different places that people will get it, provide as much of that information as you can, so that somebody then is confident enough to say, all right, I know what this is about now. I understand the situation. I've thought about it. I've mulled it over. I'm ready to go for it. So I'll come. And all of this stuff about how you're meeting and where you're meeting and what you're celebrating and the types of people that are there, you know, that helps people build that picture about what you do as a club. And this is really nice when you look at your photos here on the left. You know, you've got a really nice sort of selection there. It's very much you're putting across the impression of you being a social club. So sometimes you look at these and they can be very sort of political. I mean, ours, because we're an e-club and we've only just started, you know, we're due to be chartered soon, but we haven't had the opportunity to meet very much, and we don't just want to keep putting up pictures of Zoom calls because they all look the same. But at the moment, when you look at ours, you just get quite a lot of static graphics with facts and figures and stuff on, and the odd picture of us doing something, but not a lot. Whereas you look at this one and it's very much, you know, it's women getting together. You can see you get together for food, and you're going to obviously do presentations. You're going to local organisations, you're litter picking, you're cleaning stuff up. You're very much putting across this impression of a, you know, friendship. What did we say? You come for the programme action, you stay for the friendship. And that's what's coming across. And that's exactly what Facebook is for. Build that impression of your community. So that's nice. Yeah, so I can see what you mean. So there isn't a specific post about the conference. Yeah, but it's good, it's nice. Again, if we were thinking how could we make this a little bit better, so what we've got here, it has talked about, you've said why you met, you've said that you know, sort of who attended and the things that were talked about. Again, if we were to make this a little bit more social media friendly so that it could be picked up by algorithms, we could hashtag these various causes here. So again, you can either hashtag within the body of the text, so you could put a hashtag in front of FGM, a hashtag in front of modern slavery, or you can put them at the end. It's entirely up to you. People do understand how to read hashtags, so it doesn't really sort of impair it anymore. People understand how to understand what, you know, what's the word? Oh, I've lost it. Interpret, that's it. Interpret what is being said. But I do prefer to put hashtags at the end of my text rather than throughout, because I just think it reads a little bit better, and then you can have your sort of list at the end. You don't want to go overboard on hashtags. Generally, I would say sort of 5 is enough. I think when you see these posts, when they've got kind of reams and reams of hashtags underneath, you know, on LinkedIn, absolutely fine, but on Facebook, it doesn't really work the same. So I always say sort of between 2 and 5 hashtags, really. So I would have hashtagged Soroptimist, and I would have hashtagged FGM, domestic violence, maybe modern slavery. And then again, just to make this even better, we could perhaps have tagged in maybe the venue. Who else have we got? So you've got some speakers. You could have tagged them. You've got Tanit Cram CBE there. Potentially, you could have tagged them in the post, so that, because how that helps is, again, if we're thinking about using it as a bit like your networking platform, so by tagging those people in as opposed to just mentioning them, it then appears on their profile, so their contacts will see it, and they can then engage with it, share it. So essentially it helps your post get out to a wider audience, because at the moment that post will only be seen by people who have liked this page. But if we had tagged Alison Sutherland, Tanit Judge, oh no, that is the same person, isn't it? But if you'd have tagged those two people in it, it would have gone on their walls. They would then, their audiences would see it, and then it gets a little bit further. So it's just about increasing that reach a little bit more. The other thing you could have done, again, haven't asked any questions there. Sometimes it's hard, and excuse me, you know, sometimes you can't, and you don't want to make a forced post the way you just stuck a question on the end just for the sake of it. But it may be something along the lines of, you know, we met and we had our lunch and it was lovely, or any other Soroptimists celebrating their diamond anniversaries, or would you like to be part of an organisation that is celebrating its diamond anniversary? You know, leave us a comment below if you'd like to find out more, something like that. But just something that is encouraging people to leave a comment, basically, would make it better. But on the whole, this, you know, this is nice. What we've got, when you look at this page here, we've got a nice mix of posts about the people in the club. We've got some information about the causes that the club is involved in. We've got some news articles. So when you look at this as a sort of whole, you can see, you get a really nice impression of what this club is interested in, what this group of women is about. And again, thinking about it from a non-Soroptimist point of view, it gives somebody quite a lot of information about it. What I would say is, if you are a member, do you all know where to find your insights and your analytics and things? No, blank faces. If I just look at my, so SI Libertas obviously is our club, so I'll just show you ours here. So if you are an admin of a page, you view it slightly differently. So you see the view here that we see, because I am an admin of this page, is slightly different along this left-hand column to what I saw as a visitor to the other page. Basically, I get a lot more information about it because I'm an admin, so it gives me this information. So insights here is where you can start to see how your page is performing. And they do actually give you quite a lot of information about this. So some of these will, sometimes you get a slightly different view on this, depending on whether you've got business manager set up, but essentially it's the same information. So what it's showing me here is how many people the post reach. It will show me what my audience is like. It will show me things along the lines of how many people engage, what times of day do best, what types of posts do best. So what's quite nice here is you get this sort of overview where it can say, these are your posts, this is the day, and you can see really quickly. So reach is how many people it was shown to. Engagement is how many people liked it or commented on it or whatever it might be. So I can start to see here that, you know, the numbers of posts. So this one didn't do very well. So this is a post that we did from the Soroptimist news. So that didn't do very well. But again, that one went out at 2 o'clock-ish in the afternoon. You can change the way that it reports times and things, dates, if you like. It's very American, so it does a 12-hour clock, not a 24-hour clock, but you can change that if it's easier. But again, you can start to look at this and get a feel for what types of posts do better at what time of day, because again, thinking about when is your audience most likely to be online, you know, if we're trying to approach or attract potentially women in their 20s, 30s, 40s, you know, probably during the day they're going to be working, so they're not checking Facebook. Early evening, you know, it's peak cooking tea, getting the kids bathed and ready for bedtime. So usually evening is going to be the better time because they've put the kids to bed, they've sat down, they've got a glass of wine, they're going to have a look at Facebook for a bit before they go to bed. So that's quite a good time of day for us. When we're putting out specific content, just as an example, when we did through my business, we do social media marketing, and we had a client who was they sold very, very high-end strollers, carbon fiber strollers, ridiculously priced strollers, like £2,500. I don't know anyone would pay that for a stroller, and we weren't allowed to call it pram either. It had to be a stroller. But anyway, we were creating a lot of content for new mums. So it was about women who were pregnant or were trying to get pregnant or had young children and were looking to size up in terms of their strollers and things. And what we found was we were looking at our insights, and all of our content was being viewed at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. And we thought, crikes, you know, are we accidentally targeting women in America and we should be targeting women in the UK? And then we realized that was when mums were sitting up doing the night feed. So they were either, you know, breastfeeding or sitting with the bottle with the baby, and they were scrolling through Facebook and they were looking for that type of content, you know, what to pack in your hospital bag, how to wean your baby, how to get a sleep routine, that sort of stuff. So we changed how we posted and what times of day we posted, and we started putting our content out much later in the day, and then our reach went up because that was when our audience were ready to engage with it. So again, just have a little bit of a think about who are you trying to target. You know, maybe if it's retired women, maybe you're doing a campaign specifically about you know, silver surfers or digital enablement for the older generation. You know, when are they most likely going to be online? Potentially Sunday morning whilst they're having a cup of coffee or reading the papers or whatever. And this is what your insights will tell you. It will start to give you a picture for when people are engaging with your content. So yeah, that's it. And the other thing just to say about your engagement on your Facebook pages particularly. So one of the things that I don't know if you saw at the beginning of the pandemic, there was this big thing. Everybody said, "Oh, we help your local business or your local organisation or your friend or whatever like their Facebook page," and everybody was inviting everybody on their friends list to like their Facebook page. Now, if you have 5,000 people on your Facebook page, 5,000 people who've liked it, but only 5 people ever engage with any of your posts, Facebook will think that the content that you're putting out is not very engaging, that your audience aren't interested in it, so it will stop showing it to as many people. So whereas if you have 50 people on your Facebook page and, you know, 15 of them are constantly engaging, although there's fewer people who have liked your page, the percentage of people who are engaging is higher. So Facebook will say, actually, a larger proportion of their audience are interested in that content. Therefore, it must be the right content for the audience. We'll show it to more people. So actually, what happened to a lot of pages was they invited everybody and their uncle to like their page. But what it ultimately did was damage them, because those people weren't really interested, but only liked it as a favor. So it's important when you're looking at your audience percentage, as you can see, it'll show you sort of you know, the demographics in terms of who likes it and stuff. But one of the important things to look at is the percentage of your audience that are engaging with your content, and that'll show it you on your excuse me, on your posts and things. But excuse me, the higher the percentage of people who are engaging, the better it will be. So do only invite people to like your page if you think they're going to be interested. Otherwise, they do you damage by being there. Does anybody else have, would anyone else like us to have a look at their page whilst we're here?
Rachel, can I
Yes.
ask a question?
You may.
Forgive me, I'm moving rooms, so if it goes a bit weird. We've just, because UKPAC are creating some infographics and blogs that they're sending out for us all to use on the 25th of each month.
Yes.
About different aspects. It's part of the Oranging the World campaign.
Yes.
And the most recent one came out this morning, I think, or yesterday. Yesterday, perhaps to be used today. I just wondered if you've got any suggestions for how clubs might use those.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have that because I think that came to me.
I just forwarded the one that was sent to me this morning, if that helps.
It's here, isn't it? So yeah, so there's a graphic. So if we let's open the graphic. So yeah, so what they've done is they've sent us this, and they've given us some hashtags that we can use. I mean, I would say Soroptimist and Orange Day, you know, Soroptimist, that's fine. Orange Day, fine, that's absolutely what it is. But actually, again, if you're not a Soroptimist, what on earth does that mean? What does Soroptimist and what does Orange Day mean? You know, they're a little bit meaningless. So what I would actually do is, let's see if we can save this. Sorry, I have to keep moving the around whilst I'm trying to do this. It's a little bit frustrating. I don't know if any of you know as well. Do any of you use Trello boards? Are you familiar with Trello boards?
No.
So Trello boards are, I think we use them in SI Libertas to sort of share information. This is our Trello board. Again, completely free to create this. You can have one, and what you do is you share it. You create a board. You can share it with everybody in your club, and we use it because we're a virtual club. So we meet virtually once a month. So the rest of the time we use technology to collaborate and work together on things. And as you can see with these, you create these what they call boards with you know, you can put graphics on there, you can assign tasks to people. Again, this, you know, a bit like Canva, you can't break it. Absolutely have a play around with it. You create a board and we can set a project here. So this is one of the projects. This is other resources that we found around the internet that we can post onto these boards so that we can all see it, we can all work together. It's a really, really good tool. But also the UN Women have their own Trello board, and I'll happily send the link out.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Find it, because it is, I bet I'm not going to be able to find it now.
Well, don't worry about it. Send it to us afterwards.
Yeah, but it has a lot of resources on it. So the reason I'm saying is because when SIGB sometimes send these resources out, like this, for example, is not particularly appropriate to share just as it is. You know, the photo is fine, and the bit of text is fine, but I wouldn't share that as one single thing. Whereas if you go on the UN Women Trello board, they have resources on there that you can download yourself and specifically share. So sometimes if they send me, I use I mean, I'm on the PR and marketing committee, so don't tell anybody that I do this. But what I tend to do is, if I'm not, you know, if I feel that the graphic SIGB have sent me is not necessarily appropriate, but I want to post around that theme, I would go on the UN Women board and I would download something a little bit more appropriate. So I will absolutely send the link out so you can see this. But basically what I would do here is I would have a look. So this graphic, you know, as an image, this is okay. So I'm going to see if it's going to let me pick out the image that I can share. I don't think it's going to let me, is it? What you can do in this situation, again, apologies if I'm teaching you all to suck eggs, but what I'm going to do is, if you control and print screen using I use the shortcut there on my keyboard, and then I go to paint, good old fashioned paint, paste. So what I want to do is I want that image, but it wouldn't let me download that image as it was. So I'm going to just trim it myself. It's a bit fiddly. And then crop. Save it to my laptop. close that down. So really, if I had more time, what I actually might do is I might take that Orange the World handprint and put that in the corner using Canva, put that in the corner of there. But I haven't got time in a minute. So they want us to post this on the 25th, don't they? 25th is Orange Day. Raise awareness. So in the UK, I'll do abuse. So Wednesday, the 15th of June. So that's actually gone back. So they haven't actually given us a lot of information here.
No, quite.
So actually what I might be tempted to do, because Elder Abuse Day has gone,
there's a blog that comes with it, which has obviously got a lot more information in it.
there is, but the problem with this blog is that they've just given us this piece of content. Now, from an SEO point of view, if all of the clubs uploaded this blog onto our website, that's a massive amount of duplicated content, and you know, Google doesn't like that. So really what the better idea would be is if this is on the Sigby website. So let's see if we can find it. Sigby blog and abuse. Just as a hint, I know people are always complaining about the website and how difficult it is to find things. I would always say use Google to find things rather than trying to go into the website and look for things, because nothing is ever in a logical place. So always I just Google things and try and find it that way. So let's just see, is this the recent one? Doesn't have a date on it, does it?
The difficulty is it's probably on the UK PAC website rather than on the Sigby website.
Oh, this is the UK PAC site. Yeah,
oh, it is. Yeah,
this is the subdomain, and again, it's not great, is it? Shall I tell you what I would actually do? In all honesty, with this, is
I was asking.
Yeah, I would find a better image. And I would create entirely my own post. So I would share this, but let's go to Facebook. We will go create post. We will upload that photo for want of a better one. And I will say, so I'm going to copy this. Unite campaign proclaims 25th edition Orange Day, raise awareness and violence against women and girls. So I'm going to say, again, I'm just going to copy that. And again, this is creating content natively, although we're sharing things from other places. You know, we're sharing blog posts and links and what have you. This is still, because I'm creating this post within Facebook, within the Facebook platform, this is creating content natively. So I'm going to say, Soroptimists are the 25th. No, I'm going to say Mark. Okay, so I'm actually going to hashtag Orange Day. I know I said before that I actually prefer to put my hashtags at the end rather than within, but this is a way of enabling and allowing me to get a few extra hashtags in there. So where I said before, you don't want a massive long list at the end. If you do put the odd one and litter it throughout the text, it does enable you to sneak a couple more in. So they wanted me to use Soroptimist and they wanted me to use Orange Day. So I've hashtagged both of those. So Soroptimist are marking the 25th of each month as Orange Day, a day to raise awareness and take action to end violence against women and girls. And I'm going to hashtag violence against women and girls. Can you see it? It automatically puts it in blue as your hashtag. So I'm going to say Wednesday, the 15th of June, 2022 was, because it's gone, World Elder Abuse Awareness Day in the UK. Elder abuse, that needs a full stop. In the UK, elder abuse is defined as a single or repeated act of lack of appropriate action within any relationship where there is an expectation of trust which causes harm. If right. More, please visit the website. And I will put the link in here again. I know I'm sending people offline, but you know, every now and again it's appropriate to do that. So I'm going to put the link in to make it easier for people to find it. Just copy and paste it there. And then I'm going to put a couple more hashtags at the end. So I want to hashtag World Elder Abuse Day. World. And just here, this is a really handy thing that they do. That they bring up suggestions of hashtags. So it will show me how many people have posted about that. Again, the more a hashtag is in use, the better it will be, because the more posts there are going to be about that. So I want World Elder Abuse Awareness Day because that had more than putting 22 on the end. And then I'm going to hashtag, let's go women's rights. You can't unfortunately put apostrophes in hashtags, which is very annoying, but it is what it is. And let's put human rights because that's really popular. 3.5 million hashtags on human rights. So quick scan to make sure I've not done any grammatical or spelling errors. Obviously, again, you know, I said it before, but all posts are editable. If you put a post out and it's got an error in it, spelling mistake, or you've tagged somebody wrong or whatever, you can either delete it or you can go back in and edit it at any time. So again, don't, you know, panic about everything having to be perfect. Well, I'm also just going to hashtag Orange the World because I know that's quite a big one, isn't it? Orange the World as a hashtag. Okay, I'm happy with that, and then I will post it. And again, if I was doing that on Twitter, I would just make that, I would probably share the same image and I would just make that a little bit smaller. If I was doing that on LinkedIn, I might really sort of go to town on putting a little bit more of an explanation in that and saying, talking a little bit more about elder abuse. Again, when SIGB sends us these edicts, the point about these is that we personalise them. And in fact, I'm going to move this on because I just realised what time it is. But we'll talk about the membership post. But again, it's about making it personal to our club. So the idea behind all of these sort of toolkits and frames and everything that they send through is so that we join and have a coherent campaign, so that SIGB as a whole is talking about a thing, but that each club makes it personal. So if we'd done something specifically about elder abuse or to mark that day, or we had a campaign about that, I would go into what our club specifically has been doing about that, so that we're joining voices and having a coherent approach, but we're making it personal again, so that you know, potential members can see each club is doing things individually or what have you. I think particularly, you know, obviously for the last 100 years, SIGB has been very geographical, Soroptimist has been very geographical focused. So you would join the club that was nearest to you, you know, no questions asked. That's how it worked. Whereas now that, you know, we've started this e-club, and I know that there are more in the offing. I know a lot of regions that want to start their own e-clubs, but the thing about that is, because they're not so geographically aligned, women might be able to choose what club they feel is most appropriate. So, for example, if we've got a club for really young girls, I know that there's one, a college group, sorry, one of the women in my e-club is a lecturer at college, and she wants to start a college club, a schools club, but that would be for girls that are between sort of 18 and 21 probably. So if a girl came and wanted to join SI Rossendale or SI Libertas and she was 19, I might say, actually, you know, it might be more appropriate for you to join this young e-club, because they meet virtually, it doesn't matter where you are, and they're all your age, and so they're going to be doing campaigns that are more interesting to you. You know, our club is mostly women in their 30s and 40s. We're all working, we've got young children still. So, you know, somebody who perhaps was in their 80s might not feel that we were the right club for them, but an e-club might start for women that are in their 80s, that are housebound, that still want to be Soroptimists, that want to join in. So again, there might be an element as Soroptimism evolves and moves forward, of finding a club that's most appropriate for you. And so that's when it does become important that when we're sharing on social media, we're being specific about our club and our people and what we're doing, so that women can find, you know, the club that fits them the best. I'm gonna quickly move us on. I just want to very quickly talk about the membership. So, because again, we're back to, there were all the membership month. I don't know if any of you saw the membership month slides that came out. These are just a selection of them. Lisa did these, Lisa who does the social media for SIGB, and they were really good. She did them on Canva. So again, you can see how you can take a basic frame and change it. These were sent out by SIGB, so you could again change it for your club or share the ones that were put out. It didn't matter what. But what I really liked about these membership month ones was, again, bringing it back to the human and the people. And this is what it's about. You know, we've talked already about using program action as a means of social media marketing. But it's important equally that we focus on the people, that, you know, come for the program action, stay for the friendship. And that is the reason that somebody is going to remain a Soroptimist, is because they find a community and they find friendship. And it's really, really important that we sell that. Again, back to social media is social. It's about people. People want to see, what are people up to? Yes, they're interested in the causes and the activities and blah, blah, blah. But actually they want to see, well, who am I going to be sat in a room with? You know, if I get involved with this, are they my kind of people? Do they look like I could be friends with them? Are they on my wavelength? These are the things that potential members are going to want to see. And that's why things like these membership toolkits were really, really good. So that's mine. It talks about why I'm a Soroptimist. And again, you know, the beauty of these templates is that you could change it, so you could put a different person in, obviously, but they could talk about whatever they wanted. So either why they joined, or why they stayed, or a program action that they were really interested in. This is something that we in SI Libertas do just continually. So at least once a month, we will post a post on all of the platforms about one of our members. And there's sort of 14 of us at the minute. So, you know, we've got enough to do a year and a bit more. So, but we just keep going around and saying, you know, one year I will talk about why I joined, and one year I will talk about what program action I've recently done that I'm most interested in. So basically, keep it going is what I'm saying. The other thing, you know, again, what is really important, what social media loves and what humans love, is stories. So it's all about, and I'm back to this, so what? I always say, talk about the so what. So we did this thing, so what? What does that mean for somebody? And the other thing is, again, if you're tagging people in these things, not only do the people who have liked your page see it, but their friends and family see it. And people like seeing things like that. You know, your sister will share it, and your daughter will share it, and what have you. And it then gets out to that wider audience. So just back to that so what, there's a thing in marketing, if you're from a marketing background, or you'll know, you know, about features and benefits. And this is where I come from, a copywriting background. I was a copywriter for years. So my thing is always, you talk about the features, but you sell the benefits. But I always go one step further on social media. It's important to go that step further and remember the so what. And what we mean by that is, so the feature would be that you get to go to conference, for example. So that's the benefit, is that we get to go to conference. Sorry, that's the feature. The benefit is that I get to travel the world, and that I get to meet up with friends, and that I get to learn new things and listen to speakers that I wouldn't necessarily otherwise have the opportunity of hearing. And so it's really important when we're talking about, you know, doing social media posts, that you always go that step further. Think about it from the perspective of a non-member. What is the benefit to them? Why does that thing matter? And I think Sigby, again, Lisa did this really well with this recent campaign. I don't know if you saw this. This was another part of Membership Month. And if you go to the Sigby Facebook page, they're on here. But it was really, really good. And what she did, again, was she went to the so what. So this is the thing, you know, you attend conferences, but the so what is that you travel the world, you become part of an international women's organisation, you make friends, you improve the lives of women and girls. You know, there are the esoteric, the nice, the benefits that make you feel good because you are making a difference, and you're raising money, and you're raising awareness, and you're helping people. You know, there's all of that. That's the reason that you become a Soroptimist and you join, and those things. But actually, to me as a human, what I'm also interested in is, you know, in this disjointed world, making friends with people that are like-minded, you know, interested in the same things as me, building a community, getting to leave, even though we are a virtual club, we still meet up. So, you know, getting to leave the house and go for cocktails with people, or go on a march, or whatever it might be. But those are the things that are actually important to me, and those are the reasons, you know, I can help women and girls by signing a petition, or, you know, I could write a letter to my MP. The reason I am a Soroptimist is because you find that community. So it's just really important when you're doing this, make it personal, sell the so what, and always put yourself in the shoes of that non-member, or that woman that's not a member yet. And remember that we can't just talk to ourselves, we can't just use jargon, we can't just, you know, use hashtags that mean nothing to the rest of the outside world. That is that. What time are we on? Oh, 3 minutes to go. Just as a final word from me, and then we will do questions. But I do just want to say, just please don't be frightened of social media. It really, you know, as I said before, you can't break it. If you put a post out that somebody doesn't chime with them, they're not interested, they won't fall out with you. They will scroll past. So it's just about learning as you go, and don't try and do everything all in one go. I find the best thing, if you have a club with a few people in it that are willing to have a go at this, then spread it out. So ask people and say, what platform do you like? You know, for example, I like Facebook. I use Facebook all the time, but I don't particularly like LinkedIn, but my sister loves it. So she does the posting for LinkedIn. Our other member, Chloe, she loves Twitter. So she does the posting for Twitter. So find out what people are interested in. Make sure you share it out, but make sure that you all then have space. We create space where we all come together to talk about, oh, I did this on Twitter, I did this on LinkedIn, I did this on Facebook, so that you are helping each other and learning from each other. And then it doesn't just become a burden on one member of the club. You know, it's shared, and you're sharing knowledge and you're learning from each other. And I think that's really important. But basically, try and improve as you go, because it does work wonders. And like I say, when I was with SI Rossendale in the first pandemic year, 2020, we gained 6 new members. We had 12 people come as visitors throughout that time. 6 people joined and are still with that club. I've built, well, me and my sister have built the e-club up. a big part of that has been through social media. So it's really, really powerful, but it's just about, you know, doing it and refining that process. Are there any questions?
So how often, because you're talking about sharing it with your sister and your other members, so how often do you get together to chat about what you're doing? Do you do that in advance, or do you?
Yeah, so one of the things that we've really tried to do with the E-Club is really streamline the process, the admin process, so that when we have a main meeting, everybody together, we're not running through the day-to-day stuff. So we have a comms meeting. So we've also shared roles out. So each role within the club has a named person in that role, but 2 people supporting them. So we have 3 people essentially doing the comms and marketing role, and there's sort of 4 or 5 of us within that group that share that burden out. So once a month we come together, and it's not in the main meeting, we do it separately, and we just have a little chat. But also we use the Trello board. So we have a Trello board about social media where we can say, you know, I've just done this, I've just posted this, or I found this graphic, or why don't we do such and such thing? We also use the WhatsApp group for those conversations. So that we're sort of constantly sharing knowledge. But yes, once a month we'll come together. I do also have a content calendar template. I'll just show it you actually. It is a grow traffic one. Let me just, I'm not showing screen, am I? Just showing the screen.
I'm interested to know how far in advance you're planning what you're doing, partly.
Well, it's a very good question. There's no real answer to it. We tend, so this is the content calendar that we use. Right. Obviously, as I say, you know, it's grow traffic, branded and stuff, but we use it for social media. But what you can see is, so let me find June. Oh, it's got a little bit out of date. Oh, someone's used the template. Oh, someone's going to be in trouble. But basically, what you'll see here, these are what we call calendar days. So in social media marketing, these are the days that all have a hashtag. And so we go through it and we say, all right, what are we going to be interested in from a Soroptimist point of view? In fact, I have got a Soroptimist one somewhere, but we'll say, oh, here, International Widows Day, you know, we need to mark that. So we will go through and highlight all of the days that we want to mark on social media. Then we go through it and we have it as a shared document so we can all contribute to it. And we'll say, oh, why don't we do a post about such and such thing? Or on Environmental Day, for example, let's talk about how we've just planted 250 trees in our field, or, you know, let's do a post on it. And the other thing about these calendar days is it doesn't have to just be the sort of the serious and the official ones. You know, sometimes we can take a day and do it just as a little bit of fun. So for example, it was World UFO Day a couple of months ago, and so we just put a post out saying, has anyone ever seen a UFO? Just as a joke. Again, it's all about conversations, getting people talking. The algorithms don't know whether we're talking about women's rights or UFOs. They just see, oh, engagement on this post. You know, let's give it a boost. Let's show it to more people and stuff. So sometimes use it as a bit of fun, but we do that. We plan that out at least 3 months in advance. And then we plan our blogs on this as well. So we'll put our blogs in and say when we're gonna write a blog. But it always changes. You know, as I say, this is a shared document. It's a living and breathing thing. We never get to the end of 3 months and have, you know, it's the same as it was at the beginning. So I'll quite happily, I'll tidy up this template and I'll send it out for people to use that as well.
That's really helpful. I'm conscious of time, and you've given us all of your energy, all of your enthusiasm, and a massive amount of knowledge. It's so kind of you, Rachel. I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but I've learned, it's the second time I've heard your webinar, and I've learned yet more from it the second time round, and I'm sure I will when I watch it again. There's some really helpful practical things in there. It's been fantastic. I'm just sorry that we haven't had as many people on this call as we might, but as we've got it recorded, we will definitely share it. So I don't know about everybody else, but that was amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. There's so much information in that, and I know I did warn you at the beginning I would just talk at you, so I'm aware I've thrown a lot at you. as I say, I'll send the slides, I'll send the recording, but if you have any questions at all, once it's all, you know, percolated through, my email details are on there. Please just email me, and I'm happy. I said to you yesterday, didn't I, Helen, you know, this is a workshop that I've been wanting to sort of put together for the wider Soroptimist community anyway. So I have no doubt I will be putting it on again. And if any of you want to come and get a refresh, then because it is chock full of a lot of information, I think you do have to, you know, hear it a couple of times to get stuff. So yeah, I'm more than happy to refresh.
Thank you, Rachel. It's fantastic.
That's all right. Yeah.
Can I just say that you've been inspirational? You really are, and I hope that you do this for lots and lots of people and put lots of clubs into being part of it, because I think this is our future. And I'm delighted that I've been here this morning. It's been one of the most impressive mornings I've had for a long time. Thank you so much. That's lovely.
Thank you, Esther. Oh, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. That's such a lovely thing to say. Thank you. Well, I'm glad that you were all here, and I hope you've got something to take away from it. And I look forward to seeing all your posts on social media.
Yeah, I definitely would like to see your notes, because there was a lot of really good information that I didn't want to miss. So I didn't write much down, although I did write a few things like loves gets more traction than likes. So, you know, even that helps. You know,
absolutely.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I'll absolutely, as I say, I'll share the slides and some additional resources and stuff that I've got. Yeah, but again, you know, any questions, you want anything refreshing, please just email me or WhatsApp me.
Thank you.
All right, have a lovely afternoon, everybody. It was so nice to meet you all.
And
Bye.
you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.